Oh, okay, you got it there.
Call the meeting to order and declare it open at 6:30 p.m. and thank you all for attending tonight. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You're required to vacate the building at the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and art gallery buildings. This is Council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anybody permitted to re-enter the building until the all clear has been given and that the area is deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of council staff will assist any person with a disability to vacate the building. Item 1.1, apologies of absence. Mr Chief, the executive officers, are there any?
We have Councillor Greenhouse for, is it a straight apology? Councillor Duffy's trying to, there's Councillor Duffy. We've got two councillors on screen, Councillor Duffy and Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you very much. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Peterson, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Show of hands for. Carried. Item 1.2, live streaming and recording. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at the council meeting, that you ensure you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be made for administrative purposes. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land, and I would like to pay my respects to elders both past, present of the Wiradjuri nation and extend respects to other Aboriginal persons and non-Aboriginal persons here with us tonight. Declaration of interest, 1.4, councillors. Does any councillor wish to declare any conflict of interest in any matter for consideration at this meeting tonight? I'll go to, yes, Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I need to declare interest in Planning and Development Committee items 2.4, 2.5 and 2.6 as my husband has worked on these sites.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy, you okay?
Always okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Go to the floor. Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have a less pecuniary, less significant interest in 4.3, notice of motion for congratulations to the Orange Aboriginal Land Council, as I am a member of the Land Council, but I'll be staying in the room to speak on that motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. The same item, 4.3, Orange Local Aboriginal Land Council. It's a less than significant non-pecuniary interest. The Land Council is administering a grant for an organisation that I'm a member of, Domestic Abuse Prevention Orange, so I don't have a direct connection to the council at all and consider it less than significant. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy, I'll bring it up when it's time. I know what you're going to say, so thank you.
Thank you. No problem.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. I also have to declare a less than significant or non-significant non-pecuniary interest in the same item 4.3, as I'm also a member of Domestic Abuse Prevention Orange, and OLALC administers the grant account for that. So, but I will stay in the room because it doesn't affect my.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Roddy.
Same as Councillor Mallard and McDonald, I'm also a member of DAPO, so I will stay in the room. It's a non-significant interest.
Thank you. Councillor Peterson.
Just declaring a non-significant non-pecuniary interest in Finance 2.1.3. I'll be attending and competing in the Battle in the Bush, hopefully along with many other councillors. I attend other events that receive support from council, so I don't believe that I want to consume time going to and from the chamber.
And good luck with that, Councillor.
I'll need it.
I would also like to declare a conflict of interest, less than significant, non-pecuniary in item 2.1, Finance Committee, item number 1, the Orange Regional Malali Association. As I know the applicant, I won't be voting, but I'll be staying in the room. Thank you. Any others? Okay, councillors, we have one late item. We need a resolution to permit that report be heard during the meeting, and I'm referring to item on your list which says 6.3, but it says 6.1 in error. So we're going to that's Circular Futures Forum, Innovating Sustainability in Region New South Wales nominations for council attendance. Can I have somebody move and second that we permitted that be allowed into the meeting? A show of hands for.
Happy to move that.
Moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor Steadman. Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. We'll discuss that later in the meeting. I'd also like to acknowledge our trainees, and the Orange City Council recruited a number of apprentices and trainees this year through the New South Wales Government's Fresh Start program to address areas with growing skill shortages. We would like to acknowledge that the New South Wales Government support and introduce our 2025 apprentices and trainees. And I would like to call on the Director of Corporate and Commercial Services, who will now say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very proud to introduce 4 of our 7 participants in the Fresh Start program. As the Mayor mentioned, this is a fully funded program that's allowed many local government organisations to employ some apprentices, trainees and cadets. We made an application for 7 appointments and we were successful in getting all 7. The 4 that have been able to join me tonight, if you can jump up please, ladies. We have Trinity, Emma, Izzy and Megan, who are in 4 different faculties. So we have IT covered, which is obviously a growing area and always in need. We have our governance and risk area, which is covered, as well as our finance. And as you can understand, having finance experts who know local government finance intimately is very important, as well as work health and safety. So being able to have these 4 areas covered with new, excited, fresh faces coming into our organisation is really exciting. We also have 3 others who weren't able to join us tonight. 2 of them are in our horticultural arborist areas, which is very hard to fill arborists, particularly in regional areas, and 1 in our horticulture greenkeeping area, which is also very exciting. So I ask if you could welcome them, and also perhaps if we get a photo with some of the councillors and the trainees, that would be great. Olivia will organise that. It's just so. Probably go back a little bit. I'm going to get us organised.
That's right.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't remember that phase.
Councillors. The council meeting will now adjourn for the conduct of the open forum. When addressing the council, speakers at the public forum must comply with the Code of Meeting Practice and all other relevant council codes, policies and procedures. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disorderly conduct, publicly alleging breaches of the council's code of conduct or making other potential defamatory statements. I ask that all of you be respectful of the council chamber here tonight. We have 4 speakers, and the first speaker will be in relation to item PDC item 2.4 development application DA 669/2024 in brackets 1, 357 and 361 Pinnacle Road. And do we have Mr. Cantrell, I should say? Yes, come forward, Mr. Cantrell, to the electron. And whilst you're doing that, I'll just introduce the councillors to you. We have Councillor Whitten, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Power, Mallard, Councillor Ruddy, Councillor Steadman, Councillor Judge, Councillor Peterson, and online we have Councillor Kinghorn and Councillor Duffy. Mr. Cantrell, you have 5 minutes if you'd like to speak to your item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors. Firstly, thank you for your time and dedication to the city. By way of introduction, my name is Scott Cantrell, local born and raised here in Orange. I own and run a growing family business in plastic recycling and manufacturing in Orange, of which this council has been very supportive of, so thank you. I also acknowledge the Wiradjuri people on whose grounds we live and work on together. Speaking as the owner and occupier of the land in the proposed DA 669/024 in brackets 1. This development has seen several delays over the past 12 to 18 months through requests for additional information from local and state authorities, all of which have been supplied, for example, design amendments, extra RFS requirements due to legislation changes, environmental and geotech reports, flooding studies, just to name a few. Careful planning of this DA has been worked on over the past 2 years, and as you can see from the DA plans, the designer, which is Peter Basher Planning and Development, has kept the Shirley Development Control Plan front of mind when designing this. I draw attention to the lot layout and the yield of blocks remaining the same, so it's in line with the original DCP. Objective principles to provide a diversity of housing and recreational opportunities. Small minor changes to the original DCP design have been made to make this package of land workable, whilst keeping the rural aspect and outlook of Pinnacle Road unchanged. Such changes have happened and have been approved throughout the Shirley precinct. One of these changes, as you can see from the plans in the paper, is the road that runs north-south has been moved to the east slightly, purely to accommodate and consider southern neighbours' house, topography and future development of the Shirley expansion. As you can see, the original DCP has the road, the north-south road, running straight through the middle of the house situated to the south. And it would seem absurd that this challenge may be being challenged, having been made to accommodate for this particular property and the southern properties beyond. There's a great public and environmental benefit within this DA, with a parcel of land being gifted to the Orange City Council through the official channels using a VPA, the Voluntary Planning Agreement for Future Public Reserve. And I say future because this lovely space along the Blackman Swamp Creek will become a family haven for walking, cycling and recreational areas, eventually linking Shirley Village further to the south with the Orange CBD, giving Shirley residents the option to walk, ride and run into the city's centre, as seen in the digital renders throughout the DCP. This public reserve will also provide protection to the Blackman Swamp Creek waterways, fauna and wildlife. Any concerns that have been raised are included in the report and also have been addressed in the report papers. Not only does this DA accommodate for neighbouring properties, future developments, it also is generously providing and paying for the road and services to this area, benefiting neighbours and increasing property values. I'd like to thank the councillors for organising and attending the multiple site visits that happened on this site over the past 3 weeks. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cantrell.
Another minute, still to go.
I carry similar values to you as councillors, in wanting a thriving and progressive Orange to move forward. This development, which sits inside the city's 50-kilometre speed zone, offers a range of block sizes providing affordability to get into the housing market as it was intended to do so from the original DCP. I'm committed to supporting Orange and its local government to keep the Australian dream alive of owning your own home and providing opportunities to both existing and incoming residents in our fast-growing, beautiful regional town of Orange. I greatly appreciate your support and approval of this development, and again, thank you for the time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Cantrill. The next speaker on the same item is Mr. Craig Eflin. If you'd like to come up, sir.
Mr. Mayor and councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Previously, I'd spoke some weeks ago, but unfortunately, time constraints prevented me from fully completing what I had to say in that time. I'd like to thank Scott for coming tonight. I wasn't aware that he would be here or that he has addressed some of the issues that I raised previously. I have not seen any changes to the DA at this point in time, so it's difficult for me to comment on that. He speaks very well, and I understand his perspective in relation to the development and why he would like it to proceed. I would just like to thank the councillors that spent some time to contact me in relation to my last visit here. I also would like to thank the councillors that took the time to accept a report that I sent through to them. I'm not sure if everybody has seen that report or if they have a copy of it. Have the councillors seen my report? All the councillors? Thank you. So at the end of the day, without me trying to reiterate and repeat everything in that report, I would like you to take time and to consider the issues raised in that report by me. As I said, because I was unaware that there'd been some changes to the DA, I can't make comments in relation to what those changes were and what the impact will be in regards to the properties on the southern side of the development. At this point in time, I would simply ask that the council consider the report that I put together with other people, obviously, and take into consideration that perhaps not all that the developer has said tonight is correct in relation to the green space, the cycleways, the roadways, in particular roadways that are nominated in the development for the entry into the development of Pinnacle Road, which is not the gazetted road, which does not provide a thoroughfare to the linkways that are requested in the DCP, that the lots themselves in many cases are not as per the LCP's plans, I beg your pardon, the MLS of them. And in fact, in many of the situations, the DA addressed, their own DA addressed the fact that there are pesticides and heavy metal contaminants within the ground. There's also, as I raised previously, the issue of naturally occurring asbestos. Not far away from the site, some of the councillors that had the opportunity to make a site visit were also in consideration of the fact of how high the southern feeder distributor is being built in relation to the existing floodplain that exists across the Blackland Swamp, and in fact which will incorporate the lower roadways and several of the residences that are planned to be built, or the lots to be built in that particular DA. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Due to some personal issues or developments today, I beg your pardon, I do have to leave the meeting early. I would hope you would consider my report with due course, and once again thank you to the councillors that have taken the time to contact me and speak with me about this, and thank you for Scott for coming tonight. Councillors, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Eflin. The next speaker will be speaking on item IPC, item 2.3, minutes of the Traffic Committee held on the 13th of May 2025. And we have online Mr. Troy Patton.
Mr. Mayor, yes. Thank you.
When you're ready, Mr. Patton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors. My name's Troy Payton. I own a locally run business, Concrete World Industries in Orange, recently renamed Complete Rio. I'm the owner of number 2 Ash Street in Orange. I own the premises that Mainfreight operate out of. I was made aware of a proposed closure of Ash Street Railway Crossing by Mainfreight on the 30th of May 2025, so late last week. No one from the Orange City Council ever liaised with myself regarding the proposed closure of Ash Street Railway Crossing. I called Sophie Correntini on the 30th of May. Apparently Sophie had been liaising with Mainfreight. On the 30th of May, I apologise. On the 13th of May 2025, Orange City Council prepared a short report to the Traffic Committee. In that report, in part, Council claimed, quote, all landowners supported the permanent closure subject to Mainfreight driveway being widened by Council and at Council cost, unquote. This part of the report is misleading and false and raises 2 interesting points. Myself, as a landowner of 2 Ash Street, and the property that will be most affected by this closure, did not know about this proposed closure. The railway line runs parallel to my property and, as previously said, would be the most affected if this goes ahead. Even though the council is suggesting that the closure is a 6-month trial, the wording in that above mentioned, quote, permanent closure, unquote, suggests that this is a permanent closure. I've emailed Sophie asking for plans of how the proposed closing of the railway crossing may look. Sophie emailed me back saying she did not know what I was requesting. I also emailed Sophie asking if Dane Lane will remain open. Sophie has not replied. Dane Lane runs parallel with the railway line and my property and is a point of access to and from my property that my tenants use every day. I object to the proposed closure of Ash Street Railway Crossing in part for the following reasons. Orange City Council have not consulted with all property owners as stated in the council notes to the Traffic Committee on the 13th of May 2025, not to mention the property owner who would be most affected by this closure, i.e. me. Based on the mentioned notes, this must be viewed as a permanent closure. A cul-de-sac or a dead-end street, in particular in a poorly planned and one in an industrial area, is a magnet for illegal dumping, antisocial behaviour and security concerns. The proposed works could put me in breach of my legal responsibilities to my tenant and cause great financial loss to myself in the immediate future and further into the future, as currently my property has, according to council reports, 1,784 vehicles pass it every single day. That's 1,784 vehicles. This includes cars, trucks and semi-trailers. If the road is closed at the Ash Street railway line, how would all these vehicles then enter Leawood Estate? They would have to use the same entrance into Elsham Avenue that every vehicle entering Leawood Estate from a westerly direction would have to use. Every semi-trailer, B-double, truck, light vehicle, bus, concrete truck, motorbike and so on. When you're coming from a westerly direction, the highway in that point is a single lane only. There is a turning lane, it's a small turning lane, but with an extra 150 vehicles per hour on average, or 148, I apologise, on top of what already turns into that estate, that highway is going to get blocked off at times when it's really busy. If you're turning into Leawood Estate from the Ash Street or the Huntley Road intersection, now that it's opened, the highway is double lane. If the vehicles spill out of the turning lane, there's still another lane for them to go around that traffic. I don't believe council have taken all this into consideration. I think it's rushed. I surely wasn't aware of it. If it wasn't for my tenant bringing it to my attention last week, I still wouldn't know. The reason why I'm not there now is because I only found out at lunchtime about the council meeting on. So I'd like you to consider all these points that I've just raised. And the traffic implications, I think closing the Ash Street railway line will bring to that estate and to the highway. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Patton. Our final speaker is with regards to item FPC item 2.1, small donations, Orange Regional Malali Association, and I have Mr. Balaji. Would you like to come up to the elector, Mr. Balaji?
Thank you for giving me opportunity to talk. I'm Balaji. I live in Orange since 2007, nearly 20 years. When I come to the Orange City Council, I was thinking whether I should wear a coat or not, but I know everyone is friendly. I don't take anything serious. I used to lead a Indian cricket team a while ago. I've been like 15 years. Now I think the community is growing up. It's becoming more and more population. So I'm representing on behalf of everyone. So far the council is supporting us a lot. And also my friend here is Jidin Francis. He also wants to see how it goes because I've been here a couple of times, but this is the first time for him. We're a bit nervous, but anyway, we will get to the point. I won't take a long time. So there is an South Indian function, festivals happens every year once we do celebrate in August. The started last 10 years back. Used to have 100 people. Now we started with an enormous number of people, around 500, 600 people. Then I came to the council, look, because of our communities growing up, there's a lot of things happening here. We need a little bit more support. And we filled the application. We got this $2,500 already approved. And because of the cost of living, it would be better to have some more donation to support. I mean, like, we wanted the council and community work together as a team. We want your support and also we'll support you. We've been doing this all the time. That's it. What else I can say? You're really great. Everyone is great. Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Tony, and the council members. Yeah, as Balaji said, yeah, we have been getting that $2,500 every year for the supporting this Onam. The function name is Onam. It's a culture program, a multicultural program. Yeah, thank you for supporting to give that $2,500 every year. So as Balaji said, the expenses is increasing day by day. So we are requesting, if you can give more support to this community, that will be great. And as Balaji said, we are conducting this program in Orange City Council for last year, and this year we are planning to conduct that program in Orange City Council. Orange Functional Center. The rent for the Orange Functional Center is around $4,000 and all. So if you can do some adjustment for the Orange Functional Center rent or increasing some grant, that will be great and helpful for the community that we are representing. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Tony.
Council meeting will now resume. Councillors, if we can have a look at item number 2, mayoral minutes. Item 2.1, acknowledgement of Jenny Bennett, Executive Officer, Central West Joint Organisation. I'll move that the mayoral minute. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Roddy. Speaks for itself, Councillor. Is there any further discussion on that item? Basically, all we're saying there is that Council thank Miss Jenny Bennett for her significant contribution to the Central West, including Centroc, the Central New South Wales JO, via a letter to Miss Bennett from myself to thank her and wish her all the very best in retirement. Item 2.2, there's another mayoral minute there, councillors, regarding New South Wales flooding. Recommendation on page 7. And I would like to move that mayoral minute also. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on that item? Yes, Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Very, very happy to support it, and thank you for bringing it. Absolutely. The devastation we've seen up the coast, it's really quite, it keeps on happening, and I think it's really important that we offer support. Thanks. I know we've had some information circulated about how those sorts of offers of assistance can operate, so happy with all of that. It was interesting to note we've got at item 4.4 the conference report from Councillor Greenhalgh as well, and I know she noted in that she was at the floodplain management conference and had a report on climate change and flood risk and presentations showing the projections for increased rainfall intensity and frequency of extreme events. And I think that's maybe the other thing where we can support these councils. I know there are councils up there who support after a crisis is one thing, but it's support in being prepared to adapt to those changes in climate that are coming, and also to mitigate them by addressing climate change and reducing emissions as much as we can. So if there are opportunities when they're calling for support on those things, I think we need to back them in as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. And basically what the council, the mayoral amenities, just reach out to those councils and offer support where relevant and where we can, and also to let them know that we're thinking about them. Unfortunately, since the mayoral minute was written, there had been 2 more deaths, and so we need to acknowledge that also and let those councils know and the families that we are thinking of them and we're here should they require our assistance. So thank you all for the councillors. Any further speakers? There being none, show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you. Councillors, if we can go to item number 3, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. There is a recommendation on page 8, moved by Councillor Whitten. That's the meeting on the 20th of May, seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion, councillors? There being none, a show of hands for. Unanimous, carried. We'll have a look at the policy committees. These council meeting will now adjourn for the conduct of the policy committees, and I'll now hand over to Councillor McDonald for Planning and Development Policy Committee.
It wasn't me. Thank you, Mayor. I opened the Planning and Development Committee meeting on the 3rd of June with the time being 7:03 p.m. I note that Councillor Kinghorn has declared item 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. Is that correct, Councillor King?
2.4, 2.5, 2.6.
Oh, thank you. 5 and 6. I knew it was 3 consecutive ones. So technical issues, we might just get you to yourself and turn your camera off, and
okay.
Those matters, I don't think we can actually put you out without booting Councillor Duffy. So if you're happy just to mute yourself and turn your camera off, and then we can.
That's fine.
Yep. Okay, excellent. So does any, item 1.1, any other councillors have any other interest to declare? Okay, item 2.1, items approved under delegation. Delegation is on page 5.
Is the recommendation, Chair?
Seconded by Councillor Peterson. Is there any discussion on these items? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise a hand. Unanimous. Item 2.2. Development application DA 578/2024 in brackets 1 lots 21, 23 and 24 Edward Street. additional options for subdivision construction. Recommendation is on page 9.
I'm happy to
Move
move
it be
the
noted.
recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten, and seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on this report? Councillor Mallard.
Just to say thank you to the staff. I know Director Greenham isn't here, but probably had a role as well, although the report's under Director Hodges' name. But yeah, appreciate the work that's gone into this in providing some different options and costings and those sorts of things, and appreciate the explanations that are built into it. Thank you.
Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, I was going to echo that and to say thanks for the staff comment on page 11 regarding off-stream parking, and I thought that seemed like a sensible way to meet the need without setting a precedent.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Sorry, Councillor Duffy. Councillor Duffy, you're on mute.
Is a good thing.
Councillor
on
Duffy,
mute.
you are on mute.
How are we going now?
Much better, thank you.
Still on
Yeah,
mute.
thank you, Chair. I'm in agreement with the development application, but I'm happy with the 32.5 turning circle. And I know that the business houses there are happy with that too. They're also happy with the retention basin or detention basin, whatever you want to call it, with the car parking there, an extra $8,000. But I want clarification of the width of curb to curb of what's actually there from the director, if I could, please, on that, because I know if it's only going to be 13 metres to 14 metres, it's not wide enough. We were up there the other day when we saw a light vehicle reversing out there with a dog on it, and but they have heavier vehicles that come through there with the parking on the side. And I know from previous experience in that place out there with the sale yards, they used to park both sides of those trees that are there. And we're not asking for that full area to go back. We're just asking for a bit of an indent to come around from the thing there. So if the director could confirm what width that is, it'd be great.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Director Hodges, would you like to respond?
Certainly, through your chair. The existing road width that is in McNeely is about 13, 14 metres. The standard width for an industrial road is 12 metres. Go across the road on the eastern side of Edward Street, you'll see the road width is 12 metres. The width of Edward Street, the new portion that we'll call it, which is on the east, in the middle of this subdivision, running through towards from the Brabham Way back up to the McNeely intersection, it sits on that 12 metres wide there. So what is being maintained is the 13, 14 metre width that comes around the corner. The curb will continue on the same line, so it will technically be wider than most industrial roads.
Thank you, Director Hodges. Does that answer your question, Councillor?
Yeah, it does answer my question. I'm still not happy with the width of that. I'd like to see it go out to 14. I'm happy to move 14.5 or whatever the case may be.
That's not for this item, though.
Next one.
This is just the report.
Okay, well, which
This
one
is not the DA itself.
Okay, yep, no problem. But that's all good. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I would like to also acknowledge the hard work done by the council staff, and when this item was last before council, I asked for some options to be brought back and some costings, and that clearly demonstrates 3 options. And I think that there is a compromise here with the wider cul-de-sac being 32.5 metres at a considerable cost to the ratepayers of Orange, which is $244,946. But more importantly, what this will do is open up hopefully more commercial opportunities in that street. So without the widening of the road and upgrading that cul-de-sac, we probably wouldn't see, development going on there. So it's I think it's a good news story all around. We've met the concerns, hopefully, of the tenants in that street, but also hopefully onwards and upwards, and we can see some more progress occurring across the road and see some of those blocks being sold in the future, which will be addressed later on. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Anyone else wanted to comment on that item? In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise a hand. Thank you, unanimous. Item 2.3 is development application DA 578/2024 in brackets 1 lots 21, 23 and 24 Edward Street. Recommendation is on page 16. I do note though, I would like to say that the proposed alteration to the consent, conditions of consent number 23 that I proposed at the last meeting is not in the papers. So for those who, oops, wrong iPad, sorry. Yep, so on page, yep, sorry, page 50 of the PDC papers, condition number 23 will be as printed, and then following manager city presentation, and in accordance with the urban forest strategy, replacement planting of trees along the western boundary of lot 11/lot 8 and lot 11/lot 9 to replace the existing corridor of trees with the same or similar species at a replacement ratio of 2:1. Minimum of 8 containerised trees in 100 litre containers to be planted along the southern boundary of lot 11 and lot 10. Essentially, it's replacing lost biodiversity. It's going to go from some of those blocks, but also enhancing that screen that comes down Brabham Way that's already existing down to Edward Street. So, any questions about that?
Yeah, so Chair, are you moving the motion?
I was about to move that before. Okay, I will move that if I can have a seconder, and then we'll do questions.
What's the entire motion with the?
So it's DA as written, with that condition.
So just for clarity, Councillor, I just
ahead.
ask you the question. So you're moving the motion for approval, subject to inclusion of an amendment to condition 23 to include the 11 additional trees, and also condition 8.
Yes. Is it page 4? No.
As printed in the previous item, which was with the 32.5.
Yes, 32.5 metre.
Page 12.
Thank you, page 12.
That's the 32.5 metre cul-de-sac bowls, so the middle of the larger cul-de-sac bowls, plus the 11 additional trees along Brabham Way there.
Yep. I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. You had questions?
Thank you, and thank you for pointing that out. And I've been up there and had a look with Director Hodges, and certainly agree with the majority of what you said. The only concern I had was along there, there only appears to be a distance of maybe 1 metre to 1.5 metres between the curb of the road and the footpath. Is that the area you're talking about?
No. So I'm talking about between.
Chair. So we're referring to from Edward Street to the east along the southern feeder road. So they're between, Council would recall from about Lane Pine Avenue down to almost to Edward Street. Council a couple of years ago planted a number of trees down there. So the motion is to extend that avenue of trees that have been planted there with the 11 additional trees that'll match up.
I have no concerns, thank you.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'll speak in favour of the motion, and it's been noted by other councillors in the previous motion, thanking the staff for bringing back and speaking with the businesses in that street. It just shows the positive outcome that we can have to DAs. We actually have a lot of discontent a lot of the times with DAs because of the perceived lack of communication and working with residents and businesses. But I think this has worked out really well. This is council land. This is a very good opportunity to get it right the first time now, in consultation with those existing businesses. because at the end of the day, small business is the lifeblood of this city, and we've got to make sure that we're working with them to help them survive and to grow. And that particular precinct is going to be in the future one of the flagships of our city from an industrial point of view. So it's really important that we get the little things done right first time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, happy to support this and agree with Councillor Whitten. I think we've struck an appropriate compromise here. I want to thank the staff as well as the report they prepared, the 2 site visits that they took us on, and I'm not sure if they had to do repeat visits for others, but that was appreciated to be able to get down there. And then we had the entire theatrical experience of the second site visit down in McNeely Avenue. That was entertaining. But yeah, I think we've, in terms of the McNeely Avenue result, like we've struck the balance between addressing the concerns of the existing businesses there, but also making sure that the new lots that are going to be south of McNeely Avenue are going to be as useful and effective as possible. Like the idea of putting in the rear to curb parking there would have really disrupted that. And yes, we're losing a bit of land area from those lots, but they should still be quite workable. And I am very strongly supportive of the additional conditions you've proposed in terms of tree planting. We heard the first time we had this DA come to us at a meeting about what the view of that area, that East Orange Creek parkland area there means to people who live over on Elsham Avenue or nearby there. And I think it's really important that we preserve and actually work even more to enhance that, but absolutely protecting so that as that industrial development happens, new trees are going in place to provide that barrier and the buffer there, so that if trees are lost off that site just on the east side of Edward Street, that we'll be replacing that and retaining the view. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Any other discussion? All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay, so Councillor Kinghorn has ducked out. She has declared an interest. Got item 2.4, which is development application DA 669/2024 in brackets 1, 57 and 361 Pinnacle Road. Recommendation is on page 90.
Happy to move it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Councillor Mallard?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, happy to support this. Thanks again to the staff for taking us on a site visit and to Mr. Cantrill for giving us access to look at the site. And look, it's another one we've taken the time to look at it. And yes, I understand it varies from what's in the Shirley Master Plan and the DCP. But I can understand the reasons for those variations, and I can see that the staff have worked through those issues. I know there's been back and forth on this, and yeah, it's the nature of, and we've talked about this before, and I know Director Hodges and I have chats about it, the way master plans and DCPs are drawn up, and certainly the way they have been in the past, that they don't always take into account things like there might be trees, or there might, in this case, be a house in the way of where the road line was drawn on that map. We can't be literal about all of those things. I'm satisfied that it's a development that fits with the vision and the intention of what development we're trying to achieve in that area. You know, I think it's probably a site that does have some challenges to work with, but yeah, I think it's one that kicks off addressing all of those issues, and yeah, I'm happy to support approving it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Ms Mayor, you have a question.
If I could ask the director, excuse me, I noted that Mr. Sorry, I've got a mental blank. Iflin, sorry, I had a mental blank. Mr. Iflin raised the issue that he hadn't been informed of changes. Is he referring to changes after the last council meeting or changes during the process? Because I was a little bit confused, because my understanding was that there had been changes made, but those changes were made in consultation with the applicant, and there had been no changes since our last meeting. So I was a little bit confused about what he meant.
Through you, Chair, exactly sure about the change comment, but the application was notified to the neighbours. The report hasn't changed since that one that was before you last meeting. It is normal, without the specifics of this one, but it's normal if an application comes in and there's been minor changes to it in response to an applicant to submissions from neighbours, and often tweak things around. So there may have been a case with that. If it's not significant or major in the public interest to go out to advertising, again, we'll often just progress through the assessment of the application. So perhaps there might have been a bit of tweaking with the applications that went through. I'm not sure of that specific, being some months ago now. But certainly in relation to the documents that is before you tonight, it's exactly the same as what it was last month.
Thank you. And that's what Mr. Flynn spoke to last time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to clear.
Councillor Witten.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I think Mr. Iflin, I took the time to go out and have a look at this site. He was still of the opinion that the road was going to go through his dwelling when the plan has shifted it down towards the east somewhat. So he was going off the old plans where the road was still going through his house. That's my understanding. Yeah. Yeah, look, I've always been a stickler for master plans. That's why we do master plans, but I do know that on occasion they have to be adjusted for certain purposes. And, you know, we've got an existing Pines Lane there that is part of that master plan. In a perfect world, it would have been good if we could have utilised that particular road to adjoin or connect to this particular subdivision, but of course the applicant doesn't own that land, nor does council in between. And I suppose if I had a concern, it was the only concern I had, is where the road is going to join Pinnacle Road, the new road, where it comes out onto the crest of the hill there. So, but you know, I've always been fully supportive of anybody who takes a risk and wants to further grow this city. It's I would have liked to see if in a perfect world it's sticking to the master plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Witten. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm going to speak against the recommendation, mainly because I do believe that the Pine Lane should be utilised in this situation, which is an existing road, but it also goes right across to Woodward Street as well, which could be used as part of a walkway with a bridge across the area. And I'm also speaking against it because of the density of the housing down near Blackman Swamp Creek. And it's a very significant creek, Blackman Swamp, to Orange's history. But, you know, remember we stopped development on Ploughman's Lane Creek up the top of that, where there was 30 odd blocks ready to go there. And this is far more valuable to the City of Orange and what area and what it is there before. And as pointed out by Mr. Iflin, the DA or the DA could go down Pines Lane and come across the bottom of his property. And I can gather from what I've said, he was quite happy to relinquish his section of the Blackman Swamp Creek to allow it to be a part of the a recreation reserve that was there. But I'm not too 100% sure about that. So that's one of the reasons that I'm against it. But because I think that could happen. But if you're worried about the terrain where you're going to have a turning lane down it, terrain into Lone Pine or Pine Lane, you can have a turning lane there built in there. So I don't see any great problem with that at all. But I do think it needs a little bit more tweaking. I do think the situation creating a new road when we could also be utilising an existing road is probably more work for the council. So that's the biggest reason why I'm voting against it is as I said, the road and the density of the housing. If you look at the density of the housing, it's fairly solid down the bottom, and you're going to have dogs and cats and all those type of things down there in an area which you're going to be trying to make similar to what Plowman's Valley is. So I mean, you open up the situation of okay, we should be developing the top of Plowman's Valley. So I'm voting against it. I think it needs a little bit more tweaking.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy, can I just get some clarification from you? So you're voting against the DA as it is because you want the applicant to access land that he doesn't own for this DA?
No, I think the Pine Lane is owned by council, and I'm pretty sure if he had spoke to the neighbour, he would allow that road to go across the bottom of his property, where he could access that property there. And I think he's probably prepared to forgo that land down in Blackman Swamp. And as I said, Blackman Swamp is a huge benefit and part of our iconic history of the Orange area.
I might get Director Hodges just to comment on that.
I just refer councillors to the plans in the back of the report there that just show the internal roads and the layout of the subdivision. The applicant's proposed, and what's before you tonight is the 22-lot subdivision, which has both the main road, which is 19 metres wide, coming down from Pinnacle Road with our proper intersection up there, down the hill to a T section. That road then goes to the south, so it can continue subject to the landowners to the south developing. They will continue that road through down into Pines Lane if they need to. Equally, there's a 15.5 metre wide road that runs adjacent to the reserve that council will be gifted to by the developer along the creek line there. So there'll be two roads that'll head south towards Pine Lane eventually, but it's subject to the orderly development of land around this development. So it doesn't preclude that from happening, it's just not before you tonight.
Thank you, Director. Mayor, you had a clarification?
Yes, thank you. And I note that the comments raised by the other councillors. I also note that the blocks vary in size between, I think, about 2,000 metres down to about 450 metres. So I wouldn't consider those blocks to be small by any stretch of the imagination. I guess I have two questions to the Director. One is with regards to the width of the road. How does that compare to a standard road? Talking about 15 metres, 19.5 metres, what would a normal road be, width of that in a subdivision?
Mr. Theakstone may well answer, but a 19 metre wide road would be a standard width for a residential area. 15.5 is a narrower road with parking on one side. Mr. Theakstone, please. Not being an engineer.
Definitely get the engineers in.
Demarcation, how to get the union on you.
I don't have the Shirley DCP with me, so we'd have to take that on notice and come back to you on that.
Thank you. And I guess my next question.
Sorry, Councillor, while Director Hodges fossicks in his paperwork, you had another question.
Yeah, I just my question is, I'm assuming that the road widths comply, and so my next question would be that this is a DA which complies. So, is there any reason why we would decline the? It's a consenting DA, I'm assuming.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it is. As in with the allowing for the minor departures from the DCP, it's certainly been assessed in terms of traffic movements and size of roads. I refer councillors to page 114 of the report, which does does talk about traffic movements. Also says that council's technical services department have determined the access arrangements are acceptable. So it is concluding its compliance with our subdivision code.
Yeah, I should have said complying DA, not a consenting DA. I preempted what may or may not happen here, but it is a complying DA, so I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Thigstone and Director Hodges. Yes, I am well aware. Councillor Duffy.
Yes, my question. I've got a question to the director. Is the road width very similar to what's at Pearl Court? As councillors may recall, if they've been at previous council meetings in previous councils, that Pearl Court is very narrow. And I'm just worried about the size of when you've got parking on one side, you've got vehicle movements such as heavy vehicles, such as your garbage collectors and all those type of things there. And I know there are huge issues up around Pearl Court where we had those there before.
Thank you, Councillor. Hang on just 1 minute.
Probably have to, through you, Chair, Court, we'll have to take that on notice. I think it's up in North Orange. Keeping in mind the 15.5 metre wide one is it's not the main through road of the subdivision. It's just the one that fronts our parkland. So not uncommon to have only parking on one side of the street, being such a small area. Additionally, in relation to the width of the roads, page 131 of the report, down the bottom of that does have a discussion about road widths and intersections more so there. For the section I was looking for, yes, hang on a second.
Just bear with us, Councillor Duffy.
Yes, can I just clarify something a little bit further with the director? When I don't mind staff taking things on notice, but when we're dealing with DAs, we've only got till 12 o'clock the next day. Now, I don't mind if this goes through tonight, as long as you have taken something on notice, we get plenty of time to put in a rescission motion. That is my concern, and we weren't allowed to put in rescission motions before because we didn't meet the 12 o'clock deadline. And I'm not saying that this DA is incorrect.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I would note that this particular DA has been before us before, and there has been plenty of time to ask these questions in the lead up to this evening. But point made. Thank you. I keep going to call you Councillor. Director Hodges. Sorry.
Councillor's information. So Pearl Court is up in North Orange, where North Orange Woolworths is. There's the medical centre just at the exit of the car park. On the other side of that medical centre, there's a small street in there, full width of only 6 metres wide up there. So it's different to what is proposed before you here.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Thigstone.
Thank you. Look, I've looked up the Shirley DCP. 19 metre road in the Shirley DCP as a 9 metre wide carriageway. That's similar to Waratah Avenue, was 9 metre wide. That's a 4 metre verge either side. The road that will go down by the detention basin won't have a 4 metre verge on the detention basin side, obviously.
Thank you.
9 metres is very typical.
Any other questions, clarifications, discussion? Fantastic. All right. Okay, so I am going to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillors Judge and Duffy were against. Everyone else was for. We now have item 2.5, development application 675/2024 in brackets 1, 248 to 264 Summer Street and 220 Lords Place, Canobolas Hotel.
Happy to move it.
Thank you. Moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councillor Whitten. Councillor Peterson.
In my observation, I'm certainly in support of it, and such a substantial development of a pre-existing business bodes pretty well to how external people see the economic health of the city.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Item 2.6 is the draft site-specific development control plan 277 Cargo Road. Recommendation is on page 330. Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Alrighty. Those in favour of placing it on public exhibition for 28 days? Fantastic. Unanimous.
Can you fix up the spelling? It's got a H in it, mate.
We'll chastise the staff in the morning, thank you.
Nice try. Nice try.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Councillor Kinghorn, how are we going to get her back?
She should be able to hear us, Councillor Kinghorn.
Councillor Kinghorn, thank you for rejoining us. We're on item 2.7, Redmond Place Planning Agreement.
Move the recommendation, Chair. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten, for moving. Seconded by Councillor Mallard. Discussion. One. Oh, excellent. Alrighty. Those in favour? And fantastic, unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Planning and Development Committee meeting with the time being 7:36. And I call on Councillor Mallard to conduct the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee.
Thanks, Councillor McDonnell. I'll open the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting on the 3rd of June 2025 with the time being 7:37 p.m. Item 1.1, declarations of interest. I didn't hear any earlier. Did anyone have any interest to declare? Being none, I'll move on. Item 2.1, minutes of the Parks, Trees and Waterways Community Committee meeting. There's a recommendation on page 5. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Happy to move.
Thanks, Councillor McDonnell and Councillor Power. Any discussion on this item? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Anyone against? Carried. That moves us to item 2.2, minutes of the Tidy Towns Community Committee, 16th of April 2025. There's a recommendation on page 31. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this item? Being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Anyone against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting with the time being 7:38 p.m. I'll call on Councillor Peterson to conduct the Finance Committee. 60 seconds.
No, we're not done. All others.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. I would like to open the Finance Policy Committee meeting, 3rd of June, with the time being 19:39. I believe there was no declarations of interest, but one last chance if there was.
There were two.
Oh, my apologies.
I'll leave the room for it.
There was your own.
Yeah, right.
Gaming.
Yes. Voted already. So thank you, Mayor Mileto.
Who chairs someone else?
All right, so item 2.1, small donations, request to donations. Part 1 recommends the items be heard and voted on in seriatim. I have a mover, thanks to Councillor McDonald and Councillor Mallard, second. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All for. Any against? Thank you. So we'll deal with items in part 2 separately. Item 2.1 is to donate $2,500 to the
Move the
Orange
recommendation, Chair.
Regional Malay Association to contribute to the cost of running the South Indian Festival called Onam. And the recommendation is being moved by Councillor Whitten. Yeah. Please.
Councillor Whitten. Great.
As
I
written.
missed that. Thank you. Because Councillor said Council needs to determine.
Right,
so
of course. Sorry.
Councillor
Yep,
Whitten is
gotcha.
moving approval.
500.
Thank you.
We'll have a seconder to Councillor Whitten. A second by Councillor Power. Thank you. Any speakers? Thanks, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'm happy to support this. I'm just curious. Obviously, this is sounds like it's been a fairly successful event going on a number of years. I'm just wondering, and this happy to have this taken on notice, sort of future proofing, so that it doesn't have to keep coming back and for extra bits. Is there other ways that we can support as well?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this event has already received $2,500. Any support would be added to that. Waiving of fees or reimbursing fees for things like the function centre. The function centre costs us, that's where those fees come from. So those costs would be added to and deducted from the donations available for other events. Right. So the limit is on the policy, $2,500 per event or per year. In this case, we are doubling that on both of those.
Thank you. I guess I'm happy to support it on this occasion, just knowing that, maybe we need to look at other ways we can support it, because obviously there are other organisations that will need to be able to access those donations. Happy to support. Thank you.
Councillor Ruddy.
Fortunately, I'm not able to support this one. It's just not in line with policy, and the small donations policy only allows one application per year at a maximum of $2,500. You guys, we've already had some pretty hefty conversations about complying with policy, and I just don't see why this should be treated any different. I do want to suggest that I wonder if we could assist the organisers with some support on how they might approach local businesses to gain some sponsorship in order to gain money in other ways locally, involving other local businesses. I also appreciate the incredible work that's being done on this festival, and its growth is really exciting. And I'm very excited to attend with my family, and definitely hope to see this continue and want to see it grow in the future.
That Councillor Kinghorn, is your hand up?
No.
Sorry, my apologies. No, I'll also speak then and say that I'll vote against it for the same reasons as Councillor Ruddy. Not a prior policy, we've got limited resources and need to share them around. Having said that, if there's no other comments, I will put the motion. All for? Six. Any against? 4. Right, I declare the motion is passed. So the next one is 2.2, although I should ask Dr. Mayor Miletto to...
We're both getting title strong.
So 2.2 is to donate $74 to the Triple M Central West to contribute to the booking fee for hosting Australia's biggest morning tea. Moved by Councillor Mallard, second by Councillor Power. Any discussion on this item? Yes, Councillor Ruddy.
I'd just like to say I'm really looking forward to when the new policy is done and we don't have to do this anymore.
Thank you, Councillor Ruddy. And Councillor Kinghorn.
Yes, thank you. Same. Again, another $74 really. The other thing I just noticed on page 11, the organisation applying here is Triple M Central West, and I noticed that they've ticked that they're not for profit. and I'm pretty sure it's a commercial radio station. So I just thought I'd note that that obviously isn't correct.
Well, thank you. I will put the motion. All for?
I'd like to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Steadman. My apologies.
It's only $74, but it's a commercial enterprise. I can't understand. I've asked for $74. Someone can clarify that, explain that. And it's only $74, but I don't get it. I just can't support that.
Councillor Duffy.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm fully 100% in support of this. It's a radio station that covers our whole area, irrespective of whether it's a private company or whether it's not. The radio station does a lot of work voluntarily for our council in promoting the mayor and his speeches and all these type of things there. So I think it's well worth it. It's not wasted money at all. Thank you.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Chair. Look, I'm happy to support it. I did notice the same thing Councillor Kinghorn raised, but I think my reading of it is that the event is not being run to make a profit. This is a fundraising event. Us contributing this small amount of booking fee means that every dollar that they get at the event will go towards the cause. So I'm happy to support it on that basis.
All right, thank you then. Well, I will put the motion. All for? Any against? Thank you. So 2.3, to donate $750 to Friday Night Gaming to contribute to the cost of prizes and assist with the purchase of any additional equipment such as wargaming terrain. Do I have a mover? Councillor Duffy, do I have a seconder? Mallard, any discussion on this item? Yes, Councillor Ruddy.
Don't really see any economic benefit to Orange for this one. It's 107 participants that are going to be the Services Club. I think we need to probably consider applications a little bit better than we have been, and this is certainly one that I just don't see it having much of an economic benefit, and I just don't think I can support it based on that.
Further discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to, it's more of a comment, and happy to have it taken on notice. I was able to read this part online through the hub, but it's actually not, I don't have a hard copy in my folder of the application paperwork. So just a FYI. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak for it and just to point that the I suppose the economic benefit is the out of town attendance, which is about 80% of the participants. Further discussion? Otherwise, I will put the motion. All for?
All but one.
Any against? I'll declare that motion passed. 2.4 being to donate $2,500 to the Orange Christian School for the Young Leaders of Central West event to contribute to the hire of the venue, morning tea for participants, purchase of consumables, and travel/accommodation for guest speakers if needed. Moved. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Whitten, seconded by Councillor Judge. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Steadman.
Yeah. I'm just seeking further clarification. Are we giving people money just in case they need to spend it? Because that's what that says. So they've asked for an amount of money just in case. We need more accountability than that. Sorry.
Director Sharp, do you have a comment on that?
I wasn't sure where the question was going through you, Mr. Chair. My only sort of comment is that a lot of the people who are preparing the documentation don't necessarily have a full scope of the picture at the time, or are not necessarily the event organisers themselves that have been given the task of completing the paperwork. In this case, the event gets passed from school to school each year, so we've been supporting this particular event for a number of years. This particular paperwork, we did have to have a couple of goes at getting it from that particular school organisation. So had we had more time in receiving them, we might have gone back and sort of pressed them a little bit on their figures, which might have been able to answer the question that you're asking. This is something that we have supported a number of time over years, and we do see the benefit in that, the participation of the schools in the post and the acquittal when it comes back to us.
Mayor Miletto.
Thank you, and a question to the Director. Just with regards to the amount which has been applied for, 2,500, is that the amount which has been provided in previous years?
Yeah, but not for another.
I just knew it wasn't quite consistent. Through you, Mr. Chair, in 2024, it was the 2,500. If I remember correctly, it was Canobolas High School organising it in that year. They did have a gap year, just mainly with the timing, and the year before it was 1,500.
Thank you. I'm sort of torn which way to go here, because there seems to be a bit of lack of information, and I've always maintained that with regards to education, I know this is a private school, but I think that even being a private school, there is an onus on a school to provide this type of money. But in saying that, I also understand the importance of encouraging our young leaders. And the reason why I will support this is because I can see the benefits of the 10 for 10 program, which pairs inspiring young leaders with business people, and so I can see a huge benefit there. So I'm going to support it on this occasion, where normally I am critical of the Department of Education and not funding their own type of things. Thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question through you to the Director. When is this event?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe they're scheduled for the 1st of August 2025.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I did look. I looked right at that. Sorry. And I've got a question too, and perhaps it has no answer available to us tonight. But on the last page where you're looking at the costs, they've said that total costs are 2,500, but the figures they've provided only add up to 1,500, and then they've got hire of the Botanic Garden venue is to be confirmed. So how do they know that their costs are going to be 2,500?
Through you, Mr. Chair, similar response to the response to Councillor Steadman. These were the sorts of things that had it been received a little bit earlier or with more detail, we may have gone back and clarified that. In general, though, we do just present as it was presented to us by the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Look, I'm actually not to support it at this stage, and that is a very hesitant one, just because of the lack of information. The figures don't add up. I don't know. I mean, it would be good. It would have been great to hear from a representative to explain what the event, so we had a bit more information about it. But yeah, I hear what the Mayor said in terms of supporting up and coming young leaders, and I'm all for that. But it just doesn't. Yeah, I can't support it as it is. Thank you.
Mayor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And look, as I said, I'm torn on this, but what I propose to do is move an amendment to the motion and to have that amount decrease from $2,500 to $1,500, which will be consistent with the application. If I can have a seconder?
Yep, I'd second that.
Well, thank you. So we're now discussing the amendment. Any further comment on the amendment? Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, I'm going to speak against the amendment, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to support the motion if it comes back again. You have around about 8 to 9 high schools in our area here, being Kinross and Orange High School and Orange Christian School and Canobolas and James Sheehan High and Anglican Grammar and the Christian School and all those two. And they're all coming together as a group to join forces with each other and probably exchange ideas and those type of things there, which I think is an absolute fantastic idea. And I commend the school for coming forward and doing this and sharing this. And that's the biggest reason why I think we should be supporting it. It only works out around about $300 per school. So I think it's that's the reason why I'm speaking against the amendment.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Chair. I too will be speaking against the amendment and supporting the motion. We've got precedent where we've been supporting this particular event for many council terms. And the thing that I focus on is that it is a youth program, and it's the first. Not very often do you see public schools and private schools come together to do programs. They have their own programs that they do through their different schools. This is one program where they actually bring, as Councillor Duffy suggested, they combine the program between the public and private schools to come together to, as it says there, for empower and tackle issues facing youth today. I'll be supporting the $2,500. Voting against the amendment, sorry, Chair.
Councillor Judge. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Well, if there's no further discussion on the item, I will put the amendment. All for the amendment?
Amendment.
And all opposed?
So the amendment is 5.
So the amendment now becomes the motion. All for the motion? Any against? Unanimous. Thank you.
Can I just a matter of check? Can I have the numbers on the first vote?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the amendment was 6-5 in favour of the amendment, and then it became the motion and was unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Finance Policy meeting with the time being 19:57. I call Councillor Whitten to conduct the Infrastructure Policy Committee.
Put you through your paces, Mr. CEO. Thank you, Councillor Peterson. I'd like to open the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting for the 3rd of June. Time being, it's around 7:58. There are no declarations of interest. Anyone have any declarations of interest that they've discovered? There being none. Section item 2.1, minutes of the Electronic City of Orange Traffic Committee, extraordinary meeting, 30th of April 2025. The recommendations on page 5. Been moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion on this item? Being no discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Item 2.2 is the minutes of the Major Projects and Infrastructure Committee Community Committee meeting held on the 15th of April. Recommendation is on page 39. Councillor Powell's moved the motion. It's been seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously.
Matter arising, Chair, just regarding
Councillor Peterson.
2, page 55, a reference to water security. Community committee member requested a briefing on water infrastructure as part of the next Major Projects Committee meeting. Director Greenhow isn't here. I have emailed him if that could be passed on. Grateful.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Item 2.2 is the minutes of the City of Orange Traffic Committee meeting, 13th of May 2025. Recommendation is on page 57. It's been moved by the Mayor, seconded by Councillor Mallard. I'm just going to raise a matter arising from this particular minutes, which is the rail crossing in Ash Street. It's item 3.3 of 2.3. And I'm going to move an amendment that that particular item
Happy to second that, Mr.
removed
Chair.
from, or not supported in this minutes. I've got a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I'll speak to my amendment. I'd just like to get a briefing on that particular item about the reasons why we're closing that particular rail crossing, because it is pretty significant in the city.
Mr. Theakston, wait. Just wait, Mr. Theakston.
Yep.
Just wait, please.
Right now, because we are in a council meeting and it's a part of the motion.
That's fine. Just please finish. Please finish.
Point of clarification.
Just stay there.
I've already asked a question, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like it answered if I may, please.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Theakston.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we will need to close that crossing whilst we do the works. We're currently tendering the works package. It goes from Don Clark Tractors all the way through to Bloomfield Road, or just shy of Bloomfield Road. It's funded by the Sports Precinct and another grant, Fixing Local Roads type of a grant. For traffic reasons, we need to close the crossing. It won't take 6 months to do the works. However, we thought it appropriate to trial a temporary closure of the crossing at the same time. The other important part to this recommendation is the change of priority there at Huntley Road, making Huntley Road the through priority as opposed to going Huntley Road, Ash Street and then off Huntley Road.
That's through you, Chair. So that's point 1 of 3.3. Is that correct? That we approve the attached line of signs plan noting we'll have a change of priority. And so my other question is, so it's not just trialing it to see whether we permanently close it. We're closing it for the roadworks with the intention of reopening it, or we're sort of trialing closing it while we do the roadworks, just in case we want to close it.
Yes, it is. So it's closing it for the works, but it's a trial to actually permanently close it. So we'd come back in 6 months' time.
Yeah. I guess I'm just
all kinds of data.
In the minutes, in the supporting information, it mentions that it actually the traffic model hasn't doesn't really take into consideration the increased traffic from the sporting precinct once running. So wouldn't a closure of that, a permanent closure of that, be a little bit premature? That it might be a very good.
Possibly in 6 months' time we could come back with reopen it.
Mr. Acting Director, just so I've got this right, there is no way to keep that particular crossing open whilst we're doing roadworks?
I won't say that. I'm sure there is ways of doing that, but to cut costs and to expedite the works, the works guys are asking that we do close that crossing for it, the works.
Look, I appreciate that, but I think there's two distinct debates here. There's roadworks, which have to be done. No two ways about that. But we have a major crossing that is heavily used, right? So, and sure, we can redirect that back out onto the new Brabham Way. But I think combining the concept of closing that particular crossing permanently that's something that this council needs to, in my opinion, take a hard look at and consider before we do that, right? So 6 months of closing that particular rail crossing, 6 months is a fair time. So, look, councillors, I've got an amendment that I suppose we need. It's not going to affect the roadworks, but they need to be sort of two items that need to be taken in consideration. Councillor Duffy, you're
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number one, I'm against closing the road at any stage. Number one, because it's going to have the access to the sports precinct, currently at Brabham now anyway, before the new one gets up and running when it's ready. You also have access to the hospital. You might remember the march that happened down Huntley Road there when they all come in, hey, we need this access open. You have also access from the airport to come that way to the industrial area. And as I know that former Councillor Hamling has finally realised that there's a lot of buses go down that way, bus lines, Apple City Tours, Newman's, and all those buses come down through there and go across through there. I also look at the issue of forestry logging. And I think the gentleman who spoke mentioned the fact about the turning lanes. Now, the forestry logging's coming through there on a regular basis. In just probably an hour travelling out to the mines, I pass about 5 or 6 of them every morning, and every now and again one turns in to Huntley Road there off Brabham Way, and they go around to get fuel and those type of things there. So I think it's extremely important when you talk about the turning lane up further to go in there, and they've got to turn around again and go in that way. So I think I think our staff are smart enough and clever to come up and devise a way where traffic can flow and with a minimal cost and interruption to our community.
Councillor Kinghorn.
Yes, thank you. I'm actually really concerned that Troy Payton hadn't been consulted, and I don't know how that's happened, and I would like to know that, and why he wasn't responded to when he did raise some concerns. He was also clearly under the impression that it was a permanent closure because that's what it said, but in ours it clearly says temporarily closed. I'd also like to know if it is temporarily closed, what sort of a time difference will that make to how long it takes to complete the roadworks? And if it does go ahead, if the second point in that one can be changed to the closure be reviewed when the roadworks are completed. Because if it's going to take less time to get those roadworks done, because those roadworks themselves might impact the things that Councillor Duffy and Councillor Whitten are talking about. So I would probably like a bit more clarification on that. And I'm actually wondering if maybe we can just defer this until we know all that stuff. Do we have to wait for Councillor Whitten's amendment to be?
Well, Councillor Kinghorn, I'm happy to relinquish my amendment to change it to a deferral on item that we're discussing, 3.3, because there's a lot of because what we need to take into consideration as well is if the acting director is, when are the works going to start? Have they already been contracted? We need to consider about all these impacts that have occurred, right? So I think a deferral is a logical step. Thank you, and I'll second. Well, you can second mine, okay. Councillor Kinghorn. Councillor McDonald.
Sorry. Okay. So just for clarification, we are the current motion is to move as written, except 3.3 and deferring that for.
Well, I might back up a bit here and ask the movers if they would be happy to move the motion removing 3.3 for a deferral. Yeah, the movers and seconders. Yeah.
Who were?
Fine.
Sorry, can I ask if maybe the director is able to answer any of those questions right now?
To you, Mr. Chair, I'm not exactly sure why Troy wasn't consulted. I do know that the comms team did talk to Main Freight. There may be a confusion between Main Freight and the owner. I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't give you an exact timeline on, let's say, the efficiencies of closing the crossing and expediting the works. It'd be difficult to really quantify that. However, it certainly would make it quicker and easier for the guys to get in there and do the work. The work is currently being tendered, or it's in contract negotiation now.
Thank you, Mr.
What do you
Sexton.
expect it to take with the road closed? You
Weather
did say it wouldn't take 6 months. How long do you think
maybe-
it would take?
Through you, Mr. Chair, maybe 3 months, 3-4 months.
Do you think that 3 months is enough time to be able to gather enough data for what you're wanting to do?
Possibly not. We discussed earlier the implications of the sporting precincts on that, so you wouldn't be able to really get an understanding of that until the sporting precinct is opened up.
Thank you. Just before you go, Councillor,
sure.
mover is Councillor Miletto and the seconder is Councillor Mallard. Would you consider having a deferral on 3.3, or do I need to move an amendment?
I'm happy
fine
to do
with
that.
that. Yep.
Thank you both.
Makes sense.
Donald?
Hang on 2 seconds. What I was about to ask has just gone. A moment. There it is.
It's back.
Yep, no, it's back. It was almost gone. If we defer 3.3 and the tendering process has already sort of begun, how does a deferral impact that process?
We'll take that on notice, Chair, if you don't mind. I'm sure a deferral will work.
It shouldn't affect it because
I'm sure it'll work.
Because we're just
Deferral will
really
work.
worried about the closure of the track.
Get clarity on what are we intending on doing with the deferral? Are we having like a workshop? Are we having a briefing? Are we what is the intent with that?
Through you, Chair, my intent is to brief council and get some of the answers to those questions.
Okay.
We have a budget briefing on Friday. I reckon we can get a lot of those questions to you, answers to you by Friday, and unclog this certainly for the next council meeting, June 17.
Okay.
I'm sure the tender process will not be affected.
I'm happy to
I have
support
already emailed Mr. Payton. We'll start dialogue with him. We've got a 9 o'clock meeting with Mr. Payton in the morning.
Well done. All right,
Hey, guys.
councillors, thank you for your debate. No, I'm going to close it,
Just a
councillor.
question.
All
Just
right,
a question.
there you go.
Just a question. The question is to the director or the acting director. Can we have, when you come back to the report, the effect of wet weather on the delay for that project, seeing we're in the middle of winter or starting in the
How
middle
long's
of
a
winter?
piece of string?
Crystal ball. Crystal ball.
Piece of string.
I'd hate to
Yeah.
see that.
We'll,
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll
that'll come back.
endeavour to do that.
All right, thank you, councillors, again for the great discussion. Thank you, Mr. Theakstone, for your input. We're all on the same page. 3.3 is out. And we'll put the motion for item 2.2 less 3.3. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. Item 2.4, I better get on to it's 3.1 actually. Item 3.1, current works. Recommendation is on page 94. Been moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on current works? Councillor Peterson.
Councillor.
Yeah, so I was regarding page 103 regarding the Blackburn Swamp stormwater harvesting. I just wanted to ask if we had any influence to oppose adjourning, and is there a hard stop date where the decision has to be made? And this won't occur.
If you don't mind, I might answer that in close, it being a legal matter, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bet you're staying in the grace on his pen.
No, I'm in some hovel down the back of Sydney. 3.1, page, I think it's page, whatever it is, very first page of that there. I'm just wondering, you go to dot point number 5 on that road maintenance list there, and it's got Springbank, number 6 it is, Springbank Lane. Can we get the staff to check whether that's Springbank Lane in 2 words or 1 word?
Through you,
I know
Mr.
the
Chair,
residents
we
aren't
will
real
check
happy.
that.
the residents aren't real happy about the way they've been treated, but they're also unhappy about the way we've spelt the name out there.
Councillor Duffy,
Thank you.
any further discussion on item 3.1? I suppose I've got a question from the chair to the acting director or the CEO. There's a lot of works going around town, great works, and they have to be done. Some of them by the NBN, and I'm just hoping that they don't need to rip up some of our new footpaths that we've just been putting in. And I'm wondering why they can't be using under road borers and under footpath borers.
Mr. Theakston.
That's a great question. When we put in, I'll go back. Each year we have a meeting with NBN, EE, all the service providers, and we outline our works program. They tell us our works program. With footpath renewals, we do try to put conduits in for service providers. Sometimes they don't have their works program and we miss out on that. Often with the NBN, they just come in and do what they want. Their national legislation, they can pretty much do whatever they want. They have to consult with us and they have to restore the asset back to its original form.
Thank you. Well, we certainly need the infrastructure. There's no two ways about that from the NBN, and we just hope that they restore the works and they don't have to cut any new infrastructure that we've been putting in place. Thanks, Mr. Theakston. I've put the motion, I think, haven't I? No, I haven't. All those in favour of the motion? Against? The motion is carried. That brings this particular committee to a close, and it's around 19 minutes past 8. And I'll call on the Mayor to conduct the Recreation, Culture and Policy meeting. Thank you. Now, which is mine.
For this one. Questions for this.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. The time being 8:17 p.m, I would like to open the Recreation and Cultural Policy Committee meeting. Item 1.1, Declaration of Interest. I don't think there are any. If we go to section number 2.1, minutes of the Orange Showground Community Committee meeting held on the 8th of April 2025, Councillor's recommendation on page 5. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Steadman. Is there any discussion on this item? There being none, I'll put the motion. A show of hands for? Unanimous. Councillors, if we can go to item 2.2, minutes of the Bicycle Community Committee meeting held on the 30th of April 2025. There's a recommendation on page 27. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Is there any discussion on this item? There being none, I'll put the motion. A show of hands for? Thank you. Carried. Thank you, Council. That concludes the Recreation and Cultural Policy Committee meeting, the time being 8:19 p.m. I'll call on Councillor Ruddy to conduct the Services Policy Committee.
Any?
I would like to open the Services Policy Committee meeting on the 3rd of June with the time 8:19. There are no declarations of interest for this. Nothing's changed. Stunning. Item 2.1, minutes of the Family and Domestic Abuse Community committee meeting on the 29th of April. There is a recommendation on page 5. Do I have a mover, Councillor McDonald, and second by Councillor Power? Is there any discussion on this item? Yes, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I'd just like to make a comment and do a big shout out to Melissa Stanford and her staff. We recently held a training event with the Women and Girls Emergency Centre from Redfern, who run a government-funded program called All In for early childhood education professionals. And we had this is the second time it's been run, and we had over 15 local educators come. So each time we get more and more in the room, it's another big tick to addressing the things that contribute to gender-based violence. So I just want to say thank you very much to Mel and her team for helping get that off the ground. Yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. That's great news. Anybody else? No. I will put the motion. All for? Unanimous. Item 2.2, minutes of the Heritage Community Committee meeting 14th of April 2025. There's a recommendation on page 17. Do I have a mover? Councillor Power, and second by Councillor Mallard. Is there any discussion on this item? Yes, Councillor Peterson.
Chair, one question I had was regarding section 3.4 on page 33, regarding the Orange City Council Cultural Heritage Awards. I wanted to know if there was a significant cost for this or if it's more of a token recognition.
Yes.
Through you, Chair. Council, we have an annual budget of $4,000 for the conduct of that event. In 2024, we spent $2,600 of that allocation for 40 to 50 attendees. The costs go to room hire, catering and plaques and certificates. They do go up and down a little bit depending on the number of nominees, certificates, attendees, etc. But that's the cost for the conduct of that event.
Any further discussion? Thank you. I will put the motion. All for? Unanimous. Item 2.3, minutes of the Ageing and Access Community Committee meeting 20th of May 2025. There's a recommendation on page 45. Do I have a mover? I'm happy to move. Peterson. Oh, yep. Councillor Peterson can move. I will second. Is there any discussion on this item? And Councillor Peterson.
I need to say on page 47, which references the grass matting that would be suitable for temporary accessible walkway. We did a test of it last Friday. It was successful, and that removes the need for the purchase of additional kit.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any further discussion? I will put the motion. All for? Unanimous. I have a matter arising.
Jack, do it.
Okay. I'm going to do a matter arising. So I would just like to raise a matter arising in relation to recent reports regarding the downgrading of cancer surgeries at Orange Hospital. As you should probably all be aware, allegations have surfaced that urgent cancer procedures were reclassified without clinical justification to help meet elective surgery waitlist targets. These are incredibly serious claims, and they've understandably shaken the confidence of many in our community. As Chair of Council's Health Services Committee, I feel a strong responsibility to raise this. I want to first acknowledge and thank our state member, Mr. Philip Donato, for raising this issue directly with the Minister for Health, Ryan Park, in Parliament last week. His timely advocacy on behalf of our region is commendable. While Minister Park has since confirmed a review is underway, it remains unclear whether that review will be independent or offer adequate transparency. Sorry, I lost myself there. Given the gravity of these allegations and the importance of public trust in our local health system, I'd like to propose that Council write to Minister Ryan Park to formally support an independent investigation into the matter. I also suggest that Council work closely with Mr. Donato on this issue so we remain informed of any developments, particularly given that Minister Park has stated he will keep our local member updated. This is not a political point. It's about standing up for the people of Orange. Our community deserves answers, and they deserve those answers to come through a process that is truly independent, transparent, and accountable. I will move a motion for a letter to be written.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Thank you. I will move that. Councillor McDonald will second. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. I was hoping that this would be raised tonight. Look, as you said, these are very serious claims. I, as someone who has worked in the health sector and who has also worked with the two doctors that have spoken out, I know they would not have done so lightly. So I think it's definitely vital that we get to the bottom of this. We need, Orange is known for our healthcare, our fantastic health service, and we don't want that to be undermined because that's going to affect every aspect of our community, from people's health to the economy itself. So I think it's really important that we get on top of this, and it is the second issue that has arisen within the last 6 months, which is massively serious. And I was actually sitting with women today who've been facing cancer diagnoses. So the fear out there in the community is legitimate, and it's very real. So I think we definitely need to, I'm more than happy to support that. We definitely need to get to the bottom of this and to make sure that we do remain a well-known health services sector in Orange.
Agree. I'll just jump to Councillor Peterson.
Oh, yeah, just
Can I just take a point of order, please, before we go forward, and apologies for interrupting. Councillor Peterson, I, without disagreeing with anything that's been said, I do want to draw attention to clause 9.3 of the Code of Meeting Practice and clause 9.1 as well, which 9.3 refers to, that says council mustn't consider business at meeting of the council. This is 9.1 unless appropriate notice is being given. 9.3 provides that business may be considered even though due notice hasn't been given if A, a motion is passed to have the business considered at the meeting, and B, the business to be considered is ruled by the chairperson to be of great urgency on the grounds that it requires a decision by the council before the next scheduled ordinary meeting of the council. Sorry, I'm very concerned. Matters arising don't actually exist in the Code of Meeting Practice.
I would argue it's a timely and urgent matter.
I would consider this to be quite urgent, especially considering that it's obviously already been spoken about in Parliament. And
can I say?
Ryan, yes,
I'm happy to move a motion that your motion be considered at this meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love process.
Allowed. All in favour?
And I might just add,
Right,
Chair,
just the one, sorry.
nothing can be actioned from this chamber without a motion. So that policy, it contravenes the Local Government Act, right?
I might just stop you and I'll just jump to Councillor Peterson so he can keep going. Yes.
Oh, yeah, only that I think it's a bit of a shame. I do have a conflict of interest, given it's one of my workplaces. I probably would have preferred not to be in the room, given I am already. I think it's such a general motion that it's probably not going to affect my ability.
Does anybody else want to speak on it?
What are we speaking about?
Oh, sorry, Francis.
Yep, no, that's okay.
Oh,
I'm just, I don't know if anybody
sorry.
saw the response from Ryan Park to Phil Donato, but it was very long and it didn't really answer the question, which I thought was frustrating. There was a lot of saying how great he thought Phil is, and he is, that's fine. But it would have been nice to actually get a response in Parliament to the question that he was asking about it. So I was a bit frustrated by that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably what.
Never go and work in Parliament then.
Yeah,
No,
that's what got me here. I thought that given that the response was very lacking in any substance, that I thought that on top of the work that Mr. Donato is already doing, that it's important that we back him up in that and hopefully get an independent review, because it needs to be independent. Because yeah, if there's no one else, any further discussion, then I will put the motion. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. That concludes the Services Policy Committee meeting.
Matter rising.
Oh,
Chair.
sorry. Yes. Sorry,
Thank you.
Councillor Powell.
Sorry.
voice from the deep. I just want to acknowledge the work from Director Scott Maunder and the staff in relation to the Hope for Flame last week. I heard it was well supported, although you and I are away at conference. It was great to see the pictures, and thanks to the previous councillor Grillis, also Uncle Les Powell for coming and doing a welcome country, also Uncle Dale Naden to just seeing the beautiful pictures in relation to a significant week for First Nation people in Reconciliation and Sorry Day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Anything else? No? Okay. Yes, that concludes the Services Policy Committee meeting with the time being 8:30, and I call on the Mayor to conduct the Regional and Economic Development Policy Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Time being 8:30 p.m. I open the Regional and Economic Development Policy Meeting. We go to item 1.1, Declaration of Interest. I don't think there are any. So we'll go to item 2.1, Minutes of the Sister Cities Community Committee held on the 29th of April 2025. Councillors, there is a recommendation on page 5. Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to just point out and say a massive thank you to staff and the Councillor Peterson, you're the chair? Yeah, great. Excellent. It's really nice to see movement on the relationship building with Zaporizhia. I would like to remind people that the initial intention of that was just reading through the report, there was some concern about, given the conflict is a sister city thing, really appropriate, but my original recommendation was, which was back in 2021, sometime, a long time ago, that we looked at a friendship city. So there are a couple of different levels of relationship there, but I'm really thankful that we're actually starting to get traction on that. And so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Any further discussion? Yeah, Councillor Peterson.
Just in regards to 37, in the action plan was a note for me to invite Councillor Whitten to the Sister Cities community meeting next time to provide information on the proposal for Sister City Link partner India. Let him know about that beforehand. And additionally, I am the only councillor on that committee, and echoing Councillor Mallard's concerns about being the only ones in the Companion Animals Committee. If there is anybody who wishes to join to be a backup if I'm not there, please let me know.
Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Regional and Economic Development Policy Committee meeting, with the time now being 8:33 p.m. and I'll now resume to the council meeting. If we can go to item number 4, notice of motions, the rescission. There's a notice of motion on page, 4.1, and that's budget allocation. A recommendation on page 19. Councillor Duffy, would you like to move your motion?
Yes, I'm happy to move the motion with an adjustment and bring that figure back to $10,000, which I'll explain in the process of what's actually happening. I'd like
Thank
to move
you.
that from the second.
Thank you. Got a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Judge. Councillor Duffy, do you want to speak to it?
Yes, I sure do. Councillors, you'll be quite aware that there's the MERC is the Mining and Energy Related Councils. It's made up of about 20 odd councils, and the government, the state government, collects $14.4 billion over the next 4 years from royalties for regions, from the royalties from mines in New South Wales. Now, mainly coming from the Hunter area and the Central West and various different councils across the state. Now, the previous government and the one before that had resources for regions where each council that used to get a share of those resources for regions, which was an unrestricted reserve, or unrestricted the money that came to that council, and that council could spend it how it likes. And this council here, I think we received about last money we received was over $2 million. I know Blaney got over $2 million, and I know Cobar got $9 million. Now that has all disappeared. There's no resources for regions anymore. And Merck wants to run a campaign against the government and ask them to bring in something back that replaces or rejuvenates the mining resources resources for regions and on that issue there. And I know the Director of Infrastructure was at in Parliament House on Monday with myself and you, Mr. Mayor, as regards to we had a discussion from a doctor who gave a report to us that said, you know, there was the 70% of deaths in New South Wales on roads are in our country area. Now, I will be critical in one thing. He gave the big photos of crashes on the highway. Well, you know, which is okay, but we're talking about local country rural roads, and they're the ones we're responsible for, and they're the ones that we could put money into to fix it. And I look at Burrendong Way now. There's a patch out there that really needs urgently fixing, and the same on Cadia Road and those type of things. And Blaney had the same issue. Every council has that same issue, and we want to run a campaign. It's not going to be run in the bush because politically, the mining resources or Merck understands that the elections are won in Sydney, in New South Wales, and probably across federally as well. But to look at the things there, and the doctor did say that any major accident has to swing in straight away, around about 20 staff. And he's talking about bringing in things for CT scans, operating rooms, and Raptors, which is all about emergency setup for operations, and a lot of other issues that go with those angiograms and all those issues that go with that. And there's a huge cost to the community for that. And the injuries throughout this year, from this year, have increased by 1,000 throughout the state. It was 9,000, and now it's well over 10,000. So we want to push the resources for regions back into our community. All this money is going, you'll see it go anywhere else but our communities. And the smaller councils, especially the Blaneys and the Cobars and all these places, rely on this money to provide services to their town, and whether it be roads or whether it be other services. And it's vitally important to us to actually do something about it. And Merck is going to do something about it there. We are lucky as a council. We're a council that doesn't have a mine in our area, but we are considered to be one that's impacted by mines. Other councils, such as Forbes and I think Cessnock, don't have mines in their area, but they're impacted the same way as what we are. So we're going to try and change that as well. But we need the money to run a campaign against the government on this here. We're hoping that it won't get to the stage where we'll need the money, but we're going to let them know that we are really serious about this. And our meeting tomorrow morning, Mr. Mayor, which I don't know whether you're coming to it or not, but I know Bathurst is turning up to it. And then on members, I know Lithgow's turning up to it. I know Oban are coming to it. They're all really concerned about not getting resources for regions, which is unrestricted reserves. The council can spend it where they like. And it's extremely important. And I think the CEO, if you could, say one of the reasons where we spent our money was the Adventure Playground. And I think that's an example of what the impact of what a mine has on the area with your population growth. And I can tell you now, Bathurst will 100% join, because I know there's two buses from Bathurst go out to the mines every day, every weekend, every day of the year, and they're both full of workers that go out there. So I'm asking council to allow the $10,000 there. If we need, I said 20 because we might need some a little bit later on, but I don't think we will, because there may be one or two councils not put in as those that were unaffected. But I'm happy to go with 10, and I think it's extremely important. One of the most extremely important things that we need here for our council. Remember, in the budget, I think we've got coming up, we've only got $2 million in unrestricted reserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Go to Councillor Whitten first, then Councillor Ruddy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Look, I understand, and Councillor Duffy's right. Like this year, the government will get 2.9 billion in royalties from mining, right? And in the next 4 years, they're going to get something like 13.9 billion. Now, the way that the resources for regions worked in the past is that money was only tagged for areas that had mines. If you look at Orange, we don't have a mine. We border mines, but really the regions for resourcing funding is only allocated for towns, cities, villages who are impacted by mining, roads, dust from coal on the coal trains, all those sorts of things, right? But where this money does go is into consolidated revenue, and the money is used for everybody in New South Wales. So the resources for regions is only for that portion of money that consolidated revenue would only go for areas that had mines. So I suppose, Councillor Duffy, we can still lobby as hard as we can to do these things to get additional funding, but I'm just wondering what the $10,000 is going to be used for, and you can answer that in a moment. And would Orange ratepayers benefit from it, right? And at the end of the day, mining already brings a lot of revenue to our communities, right? Through people living here, working here, spending here, and really, and I get it, you know, for those smaller areas like Cabonne and Blaney who are in mining areas, and my understanding, and there's a terminology that was used tonight, and the CEO is going to tell me what it is when he's not busy. We as a council can already negotiate with the mines in our areas to get funding ourselves directly, and it's got a term. What's the term? Maybe the Director for Corporate Services would remember. It's an RMA or an RMU, or it's something we...
And over.
I like the word nexus, Mr. Chair.
Anyway,
there's
already a mechanism where we can get that sort of funding. Not all of it, not the same royalties as the New South Wales government get, but funding that comes from the mines to help for projects in our communities where they deem they may be causing impact to our roads because of high traffic use and stuff like that. So it's you know, I understand the spirit of the motion and what Councillor Duffy's trying to do as the chair of MERC, but I have been involved and have seen how the resources for the regions work, and the challenge for the regions for the resources for all of the members of the MERC in the past were that not all members were eligible for that money. It only went to high impacted areas of mining like coal mining. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. I'll go to Councillor Ruddy next.
So I want to speak to the MERC funding request, but also the way this matter was brought to council. So back in February, I attended a meeting with MERC representatives, the Mayor, and the MERC Chair, Councillor Duffy, who was there for part of the meeting. At that meeting, the intention to run a statewide advocacy campaign for mining and energy impacted communities was made clear. MERC representatives indicated that they would be seeking a financial contribution from member councils to help fund it. 4 days later, we entered our first round of budget discussions, and since then we've had 3 additional budget discussions, yet in all that time there's been no mention of this funding request. I can't help but think that any of those meetings would have been the ideal moment to raise it to ensure that it could properly be weighed against other priorities prior to being weeks out from finalising our budget. What we received in our papers was a motion that lacked clarity, detail and accurate information and any supporting documentation. We really should be striving for a higher standard, especially given the seriousness of the decisions we're being asked to make. The motion doesn't explain what was being requested, how the money would be spent, or what the outcomes are. This kind of vague proposal is not how we should be expecting councillors to make funding decisions on behalf of our community. I would like to thank the CEO for sending through detailed information this afternoon at 1 p.m, which allowed myself and I'm sure the other councillors to be a little bit more prepared for this discussion. So I guess now that we finally have all the facts in front of us, we can see that this campaign is far more developed than the original motion suggested. What I picked up from it is it includes a professional media and communications strategy, a series of case studies, clear objectives, and a focus on planning, infrastructure, and economic transition for regions like ours. These are important issues, especially for a community like Orange, which, as has been mentioned, may not host a mine within our boundaries, but absolutely feels the flow-on impacts. From road damage and housing stress to infrastructure demands, we carry a burden without receiving the funding to match. I do support the intent of this campaign. I believe it's a conversation worth having, but I also believe this should have been brought to council properly, early and clearly with the respect our processes deserve. I would be curious to know, and I don't know if you can answer that, Councillor Duffy, which other councils have so far committed to the campaign and which councils have pulled out?
I'm happy to answer a couple of questions when I have a closing debate. I'm happy to answer some straight away if you so wish. The number one, most councils are putting in. I know some councils who aren't members are putting in, and I'm talking about Muswellbrook and a couple of others. They're putting into it. And as Councillor Whitten said, a lot of the royalties do come from a lot of other areas. But also want to remind the staff that staff get all the minutes from all the meetings that we have, that MERC has. And a lot of the information is in those minutes that we have there. I do believe that the budget information is not closed. So anyone who brings something in the next week or so, or even before the budget or in budget night, can be considered by anyone, which has been done on many occasions. As regards to Orange City Council is a member of MERC. Orange City Council is a member of the mining community and acknowledged that way, and does receive and did receive major funding from Resources for Regions. As I said, Forbes is not one and Cessnock's not one, but they haven't been met, but they remain with MERC because they need to have an understanding of what's actually happening. As a matter of fact, the mayor of Forbes, who's just getting over a serious illness, is the deputy chair of MERC, and that's a couple of the answers that I have for you. As you say, it's going to be a media campaign. It won't be directed at the bush, because the bush, we know politically, doesn't change its mind so much. But there is a Hunter caucus that aren't real happy, and I'm talking about the Hunter caucus within the Labor Party, that aren't real happy about the situation where they're not getting any money. I am aware that councils can fight for money elsewhere. We can fight for money any time we like. But with Resources for Regions, it was specifically based for those councils who were affected by mines and acknowledged by the government of the day that they were affected by mines. And that's extremely important. I think the amount of money, if we're not prepared to do that, it's up to this council. But I think it's that important, and especially when you get the report from a doctor that gives you the details of accidents that happened across New South Wales, and they're on country roads. They're not on main highways. Most of them, they're on country roads.
He's answering a question.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I'll go to Councillor McDonald now.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm glad you changed the amount, because it didn't match the supporting documentation that thankfully the CEO sent through, as Councillor Ruddy said, just today at lunchtime. I'm also I understand lobbying for funds are the more we can get out of other levels of government is fantastic, because it saves our ratepayers from having to dig deep. But I'm just really, I don't know how a notice of motion with no supporting information can be included in our business papers, published on the website, and then we're given 6 hours to digest the supporting information prior to a meeting. I don't think that's, I think it's fair, because quite honestly, I haven't had a time today in the 6 hours before this meeting to sit down and go through it properly. So I'm not happy to support it at this stage. I think it's been gone about the wrong way and we weren't given enough information with enough time, so I won't support it.
Thank you. Councillor Whitten.
Question through you, Mr. Mayor. Local government funding a lobbyist organisation to pull on the New South Wales government in a marketing campaign. There's better ways to, I would have thought, speak to government about issues. Through to the chair of Merck, have you actually sat with the Treasurer and the Minister associated for this particular asking for resource for regions?
That is actually going to happen very shortly. That'll be part of the meeting process tomorrow. As regards to that, Martin Rushes, who is our CEO at the moment, who is a barrister, he addressed the JO the other day. It was held in Orange. He came up here. He's been around and spoke to most councillors right throughout the state, and our membership are there. And most of them, and I'd say nearly all of them, I know Blaney were against it to start with, but they've already allowed in their budget the money to support the campaign. And these campaigns are successful. As I said, we really probably may not need the money, and I'm hoping we not need the money, because I know that the government, as I said, mentioned the Hunter Caucus, and you know just as well exactly what I do, Councillor Whitten, as how the political system works. And I know that most of them, and we have another senator or an MLC member out here who is supportive of us as well. So I think it's going to be a travesty of justice if we do not get in there support to get funding for us to address a lot of issues with these extra people coming to our city to provide services for them, and roads and parks and gardens and playgrounds are all parts of those type of things there. If you're talking about your wish list that you want to happen in government circles, this is one way of starting it.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. And Councillor Kinghorn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just note the wording of the motion is that council consider the money. So it's just, I think that's happened before and then it hasn't happened because they considered it and didn't put it in. I think that's happened to a few of us over the last few years. So considering it, if it's just a consideration of it, I don't think that hurts at all. So it can get then weighed up against other things at the time. I've got no problem with it being considered, which is what the motion says.
Thank you, Councillor Kinghorn. I just might make a couple of comments myself. And I'm not sure whether you're aware, Councillor Duffy, but hot off the press this afternoon, I received an email from Forbes Shire Council, and as you clearly indicated, the Deputy of Merck is Mayor Phyllis Miller. And Forbes Shire Council have indicated they will not be making a contribution to the preparation of a report to present to the New South Wales Government or reinstating the royalties for regions. They've considered their position, and they would need a strong argument from their councillors that the royalties will be paid to all mining affected councils and not just the LGAs that have a royalty paying mine within their LGA. And as you'll be aware, Forbes LGA does not contain a mine, but due to the proximity of their mine to their LGA, they will definitely be affected, as would Orange. So to me, that reads that that is a no from Forbes and a no from the Deputy Chair of Merck. However, in saying that, as councillors would be aware, Orange City Council already contributes $9,000 per year to be a member of Merck. We're now being asked to consider an extra $10,000 to be part of I guess a program to highlight some of the areas where Merck can be a benefit to the community, or those LGAs. With regards to, Councillor Duffy, your recollection of the discussion yesterday with the good doctor regarding accidents, my understanding of his discussion was around councils accepting all liability and responsibilities for their roads, and that was something which the meeting and the participants who were there wanted nothing to do with. Council taking sole responsibility for the upgrade or the upkeeping of their roads, also what the speed limits would be. They found that, my recollection was that they found that would be a burden which they were not prepared to accept. So with regards to Merck, whilst Merck may and have in the past through the resources to regions have contributed to a number of our roads, and a number of other things within the Orange LGA, such as forest road upgrades, airports, things like that. What the good doctor was talking about yesterday was roads in general. That was my understanding, and councils accepting liabilities for the maintaining of those roads, which were regional roads in preference to local roads, state highways, things like that. My view on this is that we're asking this to be included in our budget for consideration, and I would be happy to support that it be considered when the budget is being adopted. Thank you.
Just point of order, I suppose. Can we get Councillor Duffy to mute himself, please? There's a lot of feedback coming through.
Councillor Duffy, would you mind muting yourself if that's okay, please? We just got some interference coming through. Councillor Peterson?
Yeah, I'm happy to consider ideas in the budget as per the motion. Certainly my current opinion is I'd like to know more about where the money will be spent, what other councils will contribute, and just the likelihood of success, given that the current political governments, state and federal, I don't think have super appetite for it. I would love that information to come back maybe before the budget so we can consider the expenditure.
Thank you. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, look, I share a lot of the concerns that have already been voiced. When I first saw this motion, I saw nothing to persuade me to support it. If something is as important as Councillor Duffy says it is, more than one sentence would be good to try to actually give us some background. I am concerned, and it goes to the previous issue where I raised the consideration of business at council meetings, that decision making requires us to have adequate notice and to have adequate information. Unless we resolve that something is genuinely urgent, then we need that information. I thank the CEO for sending information through this afternoon. I had a busy work day. I had a chance to look at it very quickly. I did note that Merck were asking for $10,000 in that written information. So I'm glad that was corrected in the moving of the motion compared to what was printed in our papers. I am open to supporting it, given that we have done this before in this budget round, of saying that we will consider something as part of the submission process, and the submissions are still open. I think we're going to need a lot more concrete information, both about clarifying the program as it operated, the campaign, is it going to try to change the operation to address those issues that Forbes have raised and that Councillor Whitten also talked about who's eligible and how much money flows to them. I think all of those things are going to need to be addressed for me to consider being persuaded. The other part of process that I'd make a note of is this is now several times we've had notices of motion come up since we have had our budget workshop, where we all had an opportunity to put on the table what we thought were the priorities, and that includes people who were calling for the staff to make sure that they developed a balanced budget. People have then, and people who present themselves as being financially responsible councillors, lobbing up late ideas and saying, hey, let's consider chucking this in now, without offering any suggestion about where that money's going to come from. All of that said, happy to support including it in the process, and we'll deal with it there. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Any further discussion? Councillor Duffy, would you like the right to sum up?
Got to
Mute,
come off
Councillor
mute
Duffy.
now.
As Councillor Mallard says, it's only for discussion in the budget process. As I said, we're meeting tomorrow morning. I'll obtain all that information from a lot of the councillors who will be there. Mr. Mayor, you were quite correct, as I mentioned in my discussion, that the Mayor of Forbes did say that they weren't going to contribute because they're not considered affected by mines. And that, and I mentioned the Cessnock as well. I think it's Cessnock, is that they're not affected. The government is saying that they're not affected by mines either. Now, as I did mention before, that these two councils probably won't contribute to it, but we're going to put pressure via the Hunter Caucus and via other means as well on the government to come to the party and work out something. We understand that they could have a bucket of $500 million, but we want $125 million. This is just inverted commas figures to come to the MERC councils who are affected by mines. Now, the Blaney Council are hugely affected, even though it was only $2 million. Hobart, $9 million, and they budgeted for it. How can they run a council when they've got all these projects in place and they're not receiving any funding? And it's from a government that's going to pick up $14.5 billion over the next 4 years. And they're the ones that raised the rating structure on mines by around about 8% on top of what they're already receiving. And I think it's only fair that they give back to us the towns that are affected. And I've mentioned some of those towns before. But as I said, it's only for consideration in the budget. Make you aware of it.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said how the government would disperse those funds. It's a matter for themselves, I guess, and how much pressure the MERCs and the local government area is going to put on them. So, yeah, it's interesting times ahead. Any further discussion? There being none, I will put the motion. A show of hands for. Can I have hands? I've got on screen, we've got just Councillor Duffy, 2. 7-4, those against?
7-4.
7-4, so the motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Item 4.2, councillors, there's a recommendation on page 21, notice of motion, Anzac banners. Councillor Duffy, would you like to move your motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move this motion simply because I was extremely disappointed this year when I was contacted by 2 families who had members up and they'd come to see these.
I'll second it for discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Okay. We had 2 families come to this area and the banners were taken down, and they're only up for 9 days. Now, this now gives us the opportunity to say, look, hey, we're going to have it up for this period of time, and everyone will know that. I'm disappointed, and as I said before, I'm not against the Rainbow Festival. I'm not against it in one little bit. But nearly 40% of posting 1 3-week peak was all about the Rainbow Festival. I think we only had 2 postings about those who made the ultimate sacrifice, which I think was important and probably extremely important. But this motion now tells us that we're going to run these banners, and we have another 4 years of them to cover everyone that was killed at war in the Orange LGA and on the outskirts of it that consider Orange their community of interest. And I think it's extremely important that we do this.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. Now, I have Councillor Whitten is a seconder for discussion. Councillor Whitney, do you want to speak to it, or are you just happy to second it for discussion?
I'll speak when my turn comes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. McDonald?
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I've just got a bit of a clarification on this. Because there's been a bit of mixed messaging from Councillor Duffy on this over the last couple of years or so. Is this about displaying the existing banners, or is this about displaying existing and extending it to banners that haven't been created yet?
I can answer that.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, there was around about 285 Australians that gave their lives in all wars that we've had so far, which includes the First World War, the Second World War, Korea, Vietnam. I'm not too sure about any other wars that we've lost to. So we only have 40 which we can display, and we did the first 40 the previous year. We did 40 again this year, and I think the cost of those 40 going up was around about $6,000 to $7,000. I'm not 100% sure on the first, but next year there'll be another 40. But I think, in all fairness, 2 of those that should go up next year should be the 2 people that had families come, 2 diggers had families come to visit Orange to see their banners of their family member who gave the ultimate sacrifice hanging up.
Thank you, Councillor. I guess my question is possibly through to maybe the CEO or the director. I guess because in here, when it says financial and resourcing implications, it's only really talking about the possible income loss from other events and businesses wanting to display banners. It doesn't include in there anything about the cost of, over the next 4 years of, 160 odd new banners. So I guess.
Okay, can I answer that question?
I actually was asking the director. Thank you.
We'll go to Director Sharp, if that's okay first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor McDonald. We do have allocated budget to create the banners for extra fallen, as was requested by Councillor Duffy and Ms. Chamber previously. The comment that is in the staff comment, which talks about additional costing, is to your point around this is an opportunity for an income for the council when it is this long. However, fully appreciate the motion that's been put in. The other request is relation to the timing that there's the original motion. At the moment, it's talking about the date of the 1st of April to the first Sunday of May in each year. Sorry, it's been adapted. Sorry, the original motion was around a particular date, the 1st of April to the 30th of April or something to that effect, which may mean we were taking them up and down on weekends, which was extra case. And I believe it's been amended now.
But there's money in this. These have already been budgeted for going into those next 4 years.
The new banners, yes, have been budgeted for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look, I'm happy to support this, but I would like to make a comment that I've had family members and relatives who fought and died in wars as well, and what we all know is that they were all fighting to maintain democracy. So, ability for people to have free speech, free press. Well, your opinion on that might vary depending on whether you're a Fox News person or not, but that's what they were fighting for. They were fighting for freedom and democracy. And the beautiful thing about democracy is that we have members of the LGBTQIA+ community are allowed to be who they are and be celebrated. So having banners up celebrating them while it's the month of Anzac, I don't think goes against anything that they fought for. I think it speaks exactly to what they were fighting and dying for. So that's just a point that has really irked me over the last couple of years, is that people keep saying, well, it's so offensive to those who gave their lives. Well, it's actually not. They were fighting for democracy, and that's the beauty of democracy. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'm happy to support the motion. My understanding of the reading is that it's talking about the length of time the banners will be up, not any additional banners, but the director has clarified a good point for us that any additional banners have got budget for. And we've been successful in the past, Mr. Mayor, of getting funding from the federal government for the banners as well, so we should keep going after that type of funding, because Orange should be proud of a number of things that we do in this city, and this is uniquely Orange as well. And as Councillor McDonald said, the people who have fought for this country and paid the ultimate sacrifice have done it for freedom and democracy, as Councillor McDonald said. So I think this is a wonderful gesture. It's a small gesture for the families of those who've lost loved ones in any theatre of war. And I think that there is nothing more beautiful than having something like this in this beautiful city in the main street with our wonderful parks that surround it. So I'm fully supportive of it.
Thanks, Councillor Whitten. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, item 4.3, I believe that Councillor Duffy wishes to withdraw this motion. Is that correct, Councillor?
That's correct, yes.
Can I just clarify, Councillor Duffy, are you asking to, because there's a difference with regards to the code of meeting practice, are you withdrawing this notice of motion completely, or are you asking for it to be deferred for a period of time?
Well, I will bring back another motion that it will be different.
Thank you. It's withdrawn.
I've withdrawn it. Simple as that.
On the withdrawal.
Goes tonight.
Yeah. Can I just have I'll ask for a seconder to withdraw the motion if it's okay. Thanks, Councillor Steadman. Okay, item 4.4, notice of motion, post-conference report, 2025 floodplain management Australia National Conference held on, is that right? The 13th to 16th of May. Oh, that's a report, sorry. Councillor's recommendation on page 25. Can I have somebody move it? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, seconded by Councillor Power. This was the report that Deputy Mayor Greenhouse put up. Moved by Councillor Ruddy on her behalf. Any discussion? Councillor Ruddy.
Got a lot to say tonight, so buckle up. I just want to thank Councillor Greenhouse for submitting this report and sharing her experience from the conference in Melbourne. It's a really simple but valuable way to provide insight, not just for us councillors, but for the broader community as well. It relates to the work we do here and also enhances transparency with our community. Given the value of such reports, I would like to ask through you, Mr. Chair, probably to the Director, maybe the CEO, is there an existing policy or guideline that outlines expectations for councillors to submit reports following attendance at council-funded conferences?
Through Mr. Chair, no, there's no, it's just a practice, shall we say.
But nothing formal exists for that? Okay.
It's a practice. It's
amazing.
Practice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clarified. Any further discussion? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a couple of things. I really liked the way she said it focused on collaboration, innovation and resilience. I thought that was a really good use of words, and it would be good if those things applied to a few more things. I also had a question about one of the, on page 25, they were talking about the use of green infrastructure, e.g. rain gardens, permeable pavements. And I was just wondering if somebody could tell me a bit more about permeable pavements and how robust they are.
Mr. Theakstone, who was at the conference and very attentive from what I hear.
The pressure's
Probably
on.
asleep on this.
We'll soon find out, won't we?
I was through you, Mr. Chair, I was at the conference. It was a huge success, that conference. Permeable pavements, they're not new. We've used them throughout the world often. We use water-sensitive urban design in a lot of our designs. It's about cleaning water. Often with permeable pavements, you see them in backyards, you can see.
Can I just hold you up there for 1 second and ask Councillor Duffy to mute himself again, if that's all right, please?
What was that?
It creates an echo in the chamber, Councillor.
So often we use cobblestones with grass growing in between it, gravel pavements, and that helps with infiltration, cleans water. So it's water sensitive urban design.
Yeah, I was just curious about their robustness and whether they obviously probably need more maintenance than concrete ones. But I was just interested. So it's all those different types.
Yeah, they often do require a bit more maintenance, but certainly vegetation does have a play within floodplain management. It's worth having vegetation upstream to slow water down. And when you get down into the city, it's nice to have a concrete channel to get rid of the water in terms of flooding.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Theakstone. Any further questions, Councillor? Okay, there being no further discussion, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Council, we go to item number 5, General Reports, 5.1, Fire and Rescue New South Wales Report. There's a recommendation on page 28 of that report. Somebody move and second. Moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on this item? Being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Item 5.2, She Matters mural. Councillor's recommendation on page 41. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ruddy, second by Councillor Steadman. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Ruddy.
Yes, so as I discussed in the last meeting, since January 2024, in the last meeting I said 131 women in Australia have been killed, but as of today it's 135. So in 2 weeks, 4 more women have been killed. That number isn't just shocking, it's heartbreaking, and it's not slowing down. Behind every one of these numbers is a name, a face, a family who has been left shattered. I think sometimes we become desensitized to the headlines, we scroll past them, we feel sad, we feel disappointed, but we don't really stop and feel the weight of it. This mural is about making people stop. It's about asking our community to look up and pay attention. It's a simple installation. As mentioned, there's no cost to council. But the message it sends is powerful. It's that Orange is a city that cares. We're not afraid to acknowledge hard things, and that we're willing to say that this is not good enough and we won't stay silent. This is about honouring the lives that have been lost, but it's also about sending a message to women still here and still at risk. You are seen, you are valued, and we are paying attention. I'm incredibly proud to bring this to the table and hopefully to Orange, not just as a councillor, but as a woman, a mother, and someone who speaks often with people whose lives are impacted by violence. If this mural makes even one person stop, one person reflect, or one person feel seen, then it's absolutely worth it. And I hope this is something that we can all stand behind. Thank you.
Very well said, Councillor Ruddy. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you so much, Councillor Ruddy, for putting this in motion and having that relationship with Sherelle Moody, who obviously did the one down in Hosier Lane. More than happy to support this. As everyone knows, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and that although I escaped that relationship, that stays with me every day. And as Councillor Ruddy said, when the headlines come through, we do little social media posts, we might march, we might be outraged, but then daily life takes over, and it sort of gets forgotten. And the number of women being murdered is increasing. Once upon a time, only a few years ago, it was less than 1 a week. It is now more than that, far more than that. And yes, 1 woman is too many. 134 is absolutely disgusting. And anything that makes this remain front of mind for the entire community, so that we get real, constant, effective action at every level, is vital. So thank you so much. I think this is going to be an incredibly powerful thing for us to have. So more than happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, thanks very much for this amazing motion to be brought forward. I support this 110%, as what's mentioned in the report. And we are very well aware that Orange has a high rate that I've mentioned before, and this council and never be proud of what is going on in our communities. So any initiative in relation to showing aspects of this, these incidents and these, it just cannot be tolerated. So when you read 131 women lost their lives, that just cannot be acceptable. Absolutely cannot be acceptable. So whatever Orange can do, I wholeheartedly support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Powell. Any further discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly to also thank Councillor Ruddy and thank the staff as well for working to develop the proposal and provide us the information. It's obviously something I support. We've now taken a number of really significant steps over the last few years as a council to provide leadership in this area. As Councillor McDonald has just pointed out, things are continuing to get worse still, and we need to do so much more. And it's from everything like the All-In program that was discussed earlier, that's looking at addressing attitudes right back at the start as primary prevention, through to making sure that our crisis services are adequately supported, everything in between for early intervention. But these public signs and stands can be extremely powerful. And I think this one with the location that's been chosen, and I obviously don't know the artwork itself yet, but we'll look forward to seeing it. And this is another, we've talked about public art in this chamber a bit, and people have different opinions about it, but it can affect our community in a lot of different ways that are constructive. And in this case, I can see it's really going to be a very powerful opportunity and extremely supportive of it. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Mallard. Councillor Duffy, were you waving? Unmute yourself, please, Councillor.
I've got a matter arising after this motion goes through, but I'm just wondering what the mural is going to be. What is it going to be? Consist of? What is that mural going to be? As I said, I'm fully supportive of it.
I can answer that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm happy to finish the answer, but let me finish my question. 135 in 17 months across Australia works out to be around about 7 or 8 months, which is always one too many. But I'll come to that after we get things in. I just want to know what the mural is actually going to be.
Councillor Ruddy, you'd like to respond?
So there is specific posters that Sherelle has created that she uses on all her social medias, and it's got a photo of the woman and her name, and it says in memory that they're red at the moment. So every year she changes the colour, and this year they're red. Women whose images cannot be shown, she's got a specific artwork that gets used. They'll be about A3 size. We still obviously need to figure out the logistics of what size will fit best, but that's the plan. If you just did a Google, Councillor Duffy, and Google Hosier Lane in Melbourne, the artwork, you'll see images of one that already exists.
Is it on the MI Next page that you run?
Yes, you should be able to see it there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, otherwise it's been in the media, so it's you'll be able to find it on Google as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. And I have Councillor Duffy doing a matter of arising.
Yeah, I just wondering if this, matter arising. I'm just wondering, could the staff come back with details of suicides across Australia in the last 12 months?
Yes, we can do that. Thank you. And Councillor Peterson is leaving the chamber.
Online. Thanks.
Thank you. And can I ask We're going to need an extension. Can I have somebody move? Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Power, that we go to 10 p.m. Meeting be extended to 10 o'clock.
Your video in.
Show of hands. Thank you. Thanks for that, councillors. Okay. Item 5.3, Rainbow Festival 2025. There's a recommendation on page 43. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
More than happy to move it, thank you.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Duffy. Did you have your hand up?
No, mate, no.
Sorry.
Ruddy will do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Ruddy.
Big on that, mate.
Okay, any discussion on this item?
Yeah, I've got some questions that I asked for the director, and it's like about accountability, which I think we went through the process with the MERC funding. But my question is, number one, I noticed that the staff contribution is down to $10,000. Does that include the staff manning the things like any aspect of what staff is, all those type of things, where we consider that this previous year the staff contribution was $29,000?
Yeah, thank you. I'll
That's the first question.
Through
My next question is...
Can you just wait and we'll answer your first one first, Councillor Duffy. I have the director up at the lectern.
Yep.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that does include all the staff costs. You will remember that the event last year had a number of council events, whereas this year there were only 2.
Can I just clarify something there? I noticed when I went down there, there was a number of staff who were volunteering their time. Are you able to indicate how many council staff actually donated their time to help with that event?
Mr Mayor, the people who were working on the day were paid. There are a number of people who were there on the day who were attending and were also members of staff, but they were not, in inverted commas, volunteering. Those that were working were paid.
Thank you very much. Thanks for clarifying. Councillor Duffy, your second question.
Yes, my next question was, during the discussion on the budget the previous year, or in about December, I think it was, there was an indication that that we may not need the $30,000 to go towards the to the event. It was depending on ticket sales. Now, ticket sales in this report says that they're $14,000. Why isn't that figure reduced from that amount of the $30,000?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the original amount was $50,000. That was then reduced to $30,000. That $20,000 had to be made up. Part of that make-up was in the report previously $10,000 for sponsorship, $10,000 for ticket sales. The ticket sales ended up being $14,000, so the extra $4,000 did contribute to the saving, and that's why the full $30,000 wasn't required, or you can flip it the other side and show the profit.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Councillor Duffy?
No, not at this stage.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ruddy, you have a question?
Not a question, but something I'd like to say. I'd like to begin by thanking Councillor Duffy for requesting this report. It's given us an opportunity to see clearly just how successful the 2025 Rainbow Festival was, not only in terms of community engagement, but also financially. Delivering a major public event under budget is no easy task. To not only do that, but to deliver a $3,700 surplus is a credit to the professionalism, planning and hard work of our council staff. So I just want to say thank you and congratulations to all staff involved. Thanks to strong planning, partnerships and public support, the final cost to council came in at just at $26,300, below the $30,000 which was allocated. As you all would have seen in the P&L, this was achieved with ticket sales, business sponsorships and grant. A special mention must go to the ticket sales. Raising over $14,000 through public attendance shows that people didn't just want this event, they were willing to pay to be part of it. The level of engagement speaks volumes. To the critics who labelled this as a minority event, I'd say these numbers speak for themselves. If this is what a so-called minority group can deliver, then it looks like they really brought it home. The turnout, the sponsorships, the funding, it all points to one thing, that this is an event our community wants, supports and values. In contrast to the hate and division stirred up, this report tells a different story, a story of pride, collaboration and community spirit. which is exactly what Orange should stand for. Again, to our council staff, thank you. I and many others in this chamber and across the city see the work you put in, and we are genuinely grateful. You delivered something truly special, and it's a credit to you and to Orange.
Thank you, Councillor Ruddy. Councillor McDonald, were you going to say something?
Just briefly, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ruddy. That was very well said. Look, I think most of us would have received anecdotal as well as actual correspondence from visitors to the city as well as residents following the second Rainbow Festival. And it was all about how significant recognition and being seen as a valued and vibrant member of our community is to people who they are a minority. But that doesn't mean we need to keep them marginalised, as some would like. So I think that the fact that this came through and showed that we had a profit is a big sort of raspberry to the naysayers. And let's bring on 2026 and make it even bigger and better.
Thank you. Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, and thanks to the staff for preparing the report. And let's be clear, the report Councillor Duffy requested is an extremely narrow focus on what the Rainbow Festival is, and it neglects massive benefits outside what's already been said about the fact that financially the event is successful for council achieving what they wanted to do with the two community events. It doesn't acknowledge the economic benefits for local businesses and in terms of visitation. And I know I was walking down the street on the week before it kicked off and heard people talking, coming up the other way, that they had visitors coming to stay with them and go to the events. I want to congratulate, aside from the two council events, all of the organisers of the other events, the CSU Queer Screen Festival. I made sure to go to something every day. CSU Queer Screen Festival that Councillor Greenhalgh and I attended, that was amazing community event, positive vibe, amazing thought-provoking, affirming films. Then the comedy night, congratulations to Nick Gleeson and Central West Comedy and everyone who made that a success, even though flights for Reece Nicholson and Kirsty Wiebeck were massively delayed and they ended up having to land in Bathurst and get brought across. So if the show started a couple of hours late, everyone again had a fantastic time and it was an amazing show. All the way through then the drag bingo at Orange Bolo were just smashing it, getting food and drink out to everybody because it was a packed room, having a fantastic time. The community events that council ran were absolutely wonderful. And then right through to, I know you were there at the Oriana as well, Mayor, on the final day, and congratulations to Espen. And I know there were loads of other events that I missed and wasn't able to get to. So there was so much more to this festival than the council events, but the council events are the heart of it because it's our council leading in our community and they're free, open, public events where people can come, can be safe, can have fun, can make connections, and can spend time. And they were both just the most positive events once again, as they were in the first year, despite the best efforts to troll social media and scaremonger about it afterwards. It's amazing. But the biggest thing for me, yes, the economics of it work, but it's also still critically important to recognise the social significance of this. And I think we all got an email sent to us this week that that again brought that home to me, but it's far from the first time that a parent of a trans or a queer child has or young person has got in touch and explained to me how much these events have meant in terms of providing them an opportunity to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel accepted. And that's something else that a couple of older gay people said to me, one at the Oriana and another one at our Politics in the Park event with Dr. Amanda Conn, who was here for the festival's main events as well. Both of them said almost exactly the same thing, which was that, you know, these events aren't really for me. Like, I've made my life. I'm comfortable with who I am. God knows how much they've endured because they were decades back dealing with societal attitudes, but they're where they are now and they feel all right. But what they both said was, this is for the young people. This is for the young ones. And that's what this is about. You know, we had a question about suicide rates a moment ago, so let's talk about it. LGBTQIA plus people disproportionately take their lives, and they do it because they are made to feel shame. They are made to feel they shouldn't exist. They are made to feel hated. And there are people in our community who have actively done that for 2 years now. And we're not going to put up with it, and we're not going to stop standing up against it. And we're going to continue providing the support and backing in those vulnerable young people, because there are going to be new generations of them coming along until we get rid of those attitudes in our community. And that's what this is about more than anything else. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. There's no further discussion. I'll give Councillor Duffy the right to sum up.
No, it's not my motion.
It's not his motion.
Sorry, I thought it was your motion.
I didn't move it. I didn't move it or second it, but I did note.
Well, if you didn't, move it, Councillor, you don't have a right of reply. Sorry. Who moved it?
Councillor McDonald.
And Ruddy.
Councillor McDonald. Did you want to sum up, or are you happy?
Look, I'm happy. I'll just double down again and say thank you so much to staff, and to those that came along and said no to hate and yes to acceptance.
Thank you, and I apologise, Councillor Duffy. Thought it was you who moved the motion. Okay, I'll now put the motion. Show of hands for. Those against? Councillor Duffy against? Thank you very much. Motion is passed. Councillors, item 5.4, film and production support. The CEO would like to speak about this item, if that's okay. Thank you.
Councillors, during the last few days, I've had representations from councillors that this matter should in fact be enclosed. And after considering that and the evidence before me, I have ruled effectively that the item will need to be enclosed.
Councillor Duffy, could you mute yourself again, please?
For reasons that, in short, it should be closed to the public for business relating to D1 under the Act, commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. So I am informing council that it is going into closed. Vote on that before we go into closed, of course, as normal.
So do I need a mover that we're going to close?
No, I think when we get to before closed, it adds to the list.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, let's go to item 5.5, strategic policy reviews post-exhibition. Council's recommendation on page 49, and just note that Councillor Duffy has dropped out. The
motion, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Whitten. Got a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Power. Any discussion? Councillor Mallard.
Just quickly, Mayor, very happy to support adopting these. I did note when they were going out on exhibition, there was a bit of inaccuracy, I think, in some of the information that was going out there that suggested the outdoor dining policy was going to ban plastics from being used. I note the staff have made clear in the table it's single use, it's disposable plastic items. It makes perfect sense to have reusable plastic items in those sorts of settings. So just wanted to put that on the record. I know it whipped up a bit of community sentiment. Thank you.
It's Councillor Mallard. Councillor Roddy.
Sorry, I did say I was on fire tonight. I have a couple of matters in regards to ST38 and ST39. I've got heaps written here. I'm going to shorten it down. So recently I went to the Destination and Visitor Economy Conference in Kingscliff, and I really learned a lot. And it really highlighted the importance of inclusive and accessible events, which is good for our community and also can attract diverse visitors. Hang on while I skip some stuff. Okay, so I want to suggest, and you'll all notice you've got this toolkit for accessible and inclusive events in front of you to have a look at. I recently came across this and think it's a really incredible document that council can support. The council can use to support event organisers to make their events more accessible and inclusive without significant additional resources. In light of this, I would like to propose that council either defer this to be considered at the following meeting, and I will propose a motion. Alternatively, I can give you my motion and we can vote on this now and it can be done. It's not overly complicated. Are you happy to hear?
Just bear with me 1 sec, please.
Yep. Or an amendment? Oh, we can't really amend it though.
Yeah, move an amendment and it might go back.
Councillor Roddy, I might ask for a deferral on this in case it is significant, and that being the case, we wouldn't be able to hear it tonight.
Okay.
So,
okay, well, can I move an amendment to defer it and then I will submit a motion?
Yeah, just...
I'll second it. Oh, no, I moved it, didn't I?
Yeah, you moved it.
I can second it.
Just a comment from the Director first.
If I may, through Mr Mayor, it's an alternative. I really support the proposal that you're putting forward. And if I can read between the lines, what you're suggesting is that we promote this through any event that comes past our way.
Yes.
Rather
sponsorships, funding,
those sorts of things. The practical implication of that is that we'd like to include that in documents that go through to the end user. Which is not the policy. Let's be frank, they're not reading the policy. Rather than having to amend a policy and put that back out, if the council were to vote to put it on the form, then in reference to the form, which is the thing that goes to the individuals who are actually accessing it, that we put reference to it and links to it, we could resolve this by council passing that, which I would then take on and put into action, and we wouldn't need to go back out.
Happy to do that.
I'm happy with that. Just
The motion.
The process going.
want it to get out there to people.
You happy with that, Councillor Roddy?
Well, it's a checklist of all the things they can do, so yes, I'm happy with that.
Thank
I don't
you.
know how to word that.
Okay, well, do we need a seconder for that?
Happy just to amend to...
Okay, thank you. We'll know what we're voting on here.
Yep.
Show of hands for. Unanimous, thank you. Councillor Roddy, you had another one?
Yeah, just one more thing. It might be worthwhile staying. So in regards to ST39, I've been kind of reflecting on our event sponsorship processes and just want some clarification on a few points. Are recipients of council sponsorship or donations currently required to provide evidence of how funds were spent?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, they are. There is an acquittal process of which we follow up and ask for all recipients to provide us with details. The level of detail changes depending on the part of the policy that they've applied for. So someone who has a smaller donation through the small donations policy is much different to someone who gets an event sponsorship through the economic development policies. It's much more detailed. We actually had a presentation from Knighton Nashdale earlier last week, it's Tuesday, sorry, with quite a detailed presentation not only on the number of participants but also the locations and postcodes that they came from, which is very useful in us assessing the benefits for the community going forward.
Are they required to report? So that is it? Do they just report on the financial stuff, or are they also required to report on comes attendance figures, number of visitors from outside the region, etc.? All that's included.
Through you, Mr Mayor, again, it varies depending on the level. The flagship events like Night in Nashville, absolutely, we get all of that data. We request all of that data. Can't say we always get it. If they don't, though, it is actually one of the selection criteria in the policy that if they have had a application in the past, did they complete their submission and their acquittals?
Is that something we check?
It is something that
So
I
if they
check.
haven't done it, does that affect their application?
If they had not, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, sorry.
I shouldn't be in a conversation, sorry. Through you, Mr. Mayor. If that hasn't occurred, we would note it in the paper that goes for the submission for the next one.
That would do me for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion, councillors? Being none, I'll put the motion. Show of hands for. Unanimous. Okay, we're going to close now. And the Chief Executive Officer will now advise Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by the closed meeting of Orange City Council.
No written submissions in relation to what was proposed, but I do note again that we are moving item number 5.4 into closed on the subject of film production support.
Thank you. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2021, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of kind as referred to in Section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential sessions of the Council meeting closed to the press and public. The reasons for it being enclosed. Item 6.1, planning proposal land sales, is classified confidential under the provision of Section 10A2 DI, commercial information of a commercial nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. 6.2, submission redaction report, 3rd June 2023, is classified confidential under provision 10A2E, information that would, if disclosed, prejudice the maintenance of law. Late item 6.1. A circular future forum, council attendance, is classified confidential under provision of Section 10A2F. Matters affecting the security of council, councillors, council staff of council property. 5.4, film production support, is classified confidential under the provision of Section 10A2 DI, commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Then we're going to close. Moved by Councillor Powell, seconded by Councillor Judge.